It's Wednesday, my dudes. What's up? How we all doing? Everybody having a good week? Oh, man. I only got home like half an hour ago. I've been absolutely running about setting up things, so hopefully it's not a little scuff. Hey, Frosty, how you doing? Oh, man. So, we are going to be doing some dungeons today. And good news, there's a good chance that they're not going to be absolutely overtuned out of their minds. So thank you, Blizzard. I appreciate your service to the PTR. But yeah, just got back, so I am looking through some stream stuff right now, and I already see an issue. I've got the macro guide thing up still. Hold on. Bit of a spoiler alert there. Is this the right one? Nope. Nope. Okay, I keep pressing the wrong one. Here we go. This should be alright. There we are, PTR testing. We ain't making macro videos. A little bit of a spoiler there, but that's alright. I spent most of yesterday evening working on that macro guide. It's not like a long video or anything, like 8 minutes, 10 minutes max. Just going through my my macros, really. I don't know what more there is to say, but there's a few that I find quite important. And I've had a few requests from people basically asking about them. So it's basically covering everything that you can see on your screen there, just why you'd have them. Some of them more important than others, but all of them have a place. So that should be a good one. So if you don't use any macros for Windwalker, good time to start. Especially with like how important it is to not cancel casts and stuff. Because I know, me included, I'm a spam clicker, right? If I've got an ability channeling, I'm spam clicking for my next ability. And to be honest, to do that on a Windwalker is actually really bad. You can end up losing a lot of damage as a result. So it's just kind of things like that. Vivify, Tiger's Lust. Nothing too exciting, but it is a good one. And it's taken me way too long to put out that video. So hopefully some point this week, I should be able to spend a bit of time tomorrow on it. Speaking of tomorrow, we've got another Thursday stream. Hypers! Hey, Brandon. #1 Windwalker on Tichondrius here. Sweet. Thanks for helping us try to keep the Windwalker dream alive. Hey. I kill the Fist of Fury 90% of the time. Yes, and that's the thing. That's why I think these macros are so important. Because they stop it. They literally stop it because you're basically Fist of Fury is a 5-tick damage. And your biggest damage comes from that final tick. And if you're like me, I love to like spam my tiger palm basically. Prepping to get it off. But the issue is if you time it wrong and you're spam clicking, you just end up cancelling it and you lose a lot of damage. So it's basically macros that stop you doing that. Nothing like crazy or anything, and it'll be really simple to follow, kind of like the UI guide. I mean, I try to make guides as like easy and straightforward as possible. So basically, if I can follow them, anybody can follow them, because I'm like slow in the head, honestly. But, yeah, that's basically the TLDR. It should be out this week. I should be able to spend a bit of time with it tomorrow, and then maybe Sunday at the latest, but it should be early this week. I haven't really spent much time on videos recently, like actual YouTube videos. I've been putting a lot more into live streaming. The main reason for that is it's kind of like a dead zone in the season, right? Where there isn't much more to like make videos on. It's too early for a Season 2 guide. Any Season 2 guide that I make right now will get absolutely absolutely nullified within like a week when we get some changes. Speaking of changes, let's have a little look at what we got. Nothing. The answer is nothing. We got no. we didn't get any changes this week. There were a lot of changes though that came through this week for a lot of different classes. Mistweaver, Brewmaster, Mage got loads. I think the biggest winner of the week was Warrior. Like, look at this list. And it's all like buffs. It's absolutely crazy. So, I mean, you could take that in two ways. One, we didn't get nerfed, which is like awesome sauce. Super glad we didn't get any nerfs or anything. It means Blizzard aren't concerned with where we are at the moment. But you can also look at it from a little bit of a pessimistic standpoint where you're like, okay, well, all these other classes are now getting buffed. Does that mean that they're going to slowly overtake Windwalker? So you can look at it like that. I like to look at it optimistically, where we're in a good spot, so Blizzard don't need to do anything right now. We've got our quality of life changes, but there's still like easily a month or so before the next season comes out. So I'd be surprised if there wasn't a couple more changes here and there. But yeah, anyone plays Warriors probably smiling right now. I don't know how a lot of these classes do on the PTR. You don't see many of them, to be honest. Yeah, not many nerfs, to be honest. I did have a little read through this. There were like a couple nerfs here and there. I'm pretty sure they nerfed Death Knight last week and then just instantly buffed it again, so I don't know what they're doing. What else did I think was interesting? Oh yeah, just people abusing the new class sets in PvP. And then, yeah, in terms of dungeon tuning, they basically put out this massive blue post, which the TLDR is they hopefully fix these dungeons, because if any of you were watching last, I want to say Wednesday, it could have easily been last Saturday. I've lost track of time a little bit. But when they had Cinderbrew Meteor out and Rookery and Dark Flame Cleft, if you did anything over a 10, you were progging the dungeons, which is not what you really want to be doing on PTR or any point, really. You don't want to be progging a dungeon. Like, everything just kind of hit a little bit too hard, cast a little bit too fast, and I think Blizzard are a little bit aware of that, so they seem to have put nerfs across the entire board. So it means we can actually test out some higher keys and not get slam dunked, which is nice. I'm happy about that. I was a little bit concerned that I'd come in today and just get absolutely dominated on dungeons again. I mean, we still could, you know? The day's young. The day's young. But yeah, yeah. Plans for today. Basically, we're just going to run through some dungeons. In terms of like talents and builds and stuff, not much is going to change in comparison to Saturday. Builds are still going to be probably the Shadowpan Mythic Plus build that you can see here, which kind of removes the entire Strike of the Windlord tree and focuses more on Crackling Jade Lightning. And then we'll have a little bit more of a play with the Cock build, which is just kind of a high rewarding, high APM, absolutely your brain has to be on 100%. And after a long day of work, my brain is definitely not on, but I'll do my best. We'll see what we can make do with, because I definitely prefer this build. I think it's a lot of fun, but it is very high brain activity, where the Shadowpan one, I can literally just turn my brain off and play, right? Which is sometimes just what you want to do. Sometimes you don't want to think when you're playing WoW. Sometimes you just want to play and turn everything off. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Tomorrow, we've got another raid stream. So I was curious if Blizzard were going to release any more PTR for the raids, because they usually don't. The reason they have is because some of those bosses were so bugged. Like, when I say so bugged, as in, like, you couldn't even play them on the PTR. You spent an hour just wiping within the first 10-20 seconds. They're re-releasing 3 of the bosses, so we'll be doing some of that tomorrow on the Cauldron, which is like the big dinosaur and the giant gorilla fighting. That one's coming back. And then Rick Reverb or something like that. That's the 3rd boss in the raid. Basically, that was also bugged. That's where things were spawning in the walls and stuff. It was really quite a frustrating fight. They're also bringing out Muggsy, but I think as a guild we've decided we're not going to do that one from testing. I think the overall consensus is that we're not going to be like one of the first guilds in the world that needs to work this out. Like, we'll still be like progging on the bosses before, and that should hopefully get worked out for us. As well as that, we need to play retail this week. So I should be playing Nurabar Palace for the last hour of tomorrow's stream. So that, if any of you are interested in watching us just clear that, it should only take an hour. We tend to have it on farm now. Maybe 1 or 2 slip-ups on Ansarak here and there. But usually it's just chill. So I should be able to just turn my brain off for that, to be honest, and chat. So that can be fun. I don't care what the meta build is. I just want to use that new talent. Which one? Crackling Jade Lightning or the Slicing Winds? Both of them are fun, but I don't think that you can run Slicing Winds with Shadowpan, and I don't think you can run Crackling Jade Lightning with Cock, if that makes sense. Like, so you got like one build for each one, almost, if that makes sense. Shadowpan still looking better than Celestial on PTR. I'd like Celestial to overcome Shadowpan for M+ content. Overall, Celestial the Conduit's looking really good. On the PTR, basically, they're both highly competitive, but Conduit the Celestial seems to be really, like, enjoyable now in raiding, and it's also pretty good in M+. The only difference now is that Conduit, like, to get the perfect rotation off of it is, like, it's quite difficult. Like, there's a lot of different parts you have to think about, whereas Shadowpan is, like, really simple. You don't have to really think too much about your cooldowns. It's basically pop Zwan, pop Storm Earth Empire, pop everything, and then just play the standard rotation. Whereas there's a lot to micromanage with Conduit of the Celestial now, with Strike of the Windlord basically giving you Heart of the Jade Serpent every time you cast it, having to micromanage when you Conduit the Celestial, Zuin. Like, I think the opener can be upwards of like 20 to 30 seconds. Like, the full-on true opener feels really crazy. And then if it's about half a minute for that opener, the next time, it's only a minute later that you have to do that again. So it's a very high, fast-paced, but it'll definitely be the skill check hero talent, if that makes sense. Like, it'll definitely be the higher skill ceiling if people want to play Celestial Conduit, like, perfectly optimally. However, you could still play it, like, at a basic level. It's just there's a lot of micromanaging, which is fun, which I think is quite cool, because I think we lost a little bit of our skill expression through some of the changes, like Mark of the Crane, stuff like that. So this seems to be, like, the go-to, like, if you want to... I think this build is going to be the one that, like, all the top Windwalkers use for raiding and M+. And then Shadowpan's just going to be, like, the nice, simple one that's just kind of easy. So you could easily, like, progress with Shadowpan, and then you wouldn't see any issues. But I think, like, the top logs will definitely be Conduit the Celestial. But I'm willing to be surprised. It's still very early days, so I'm not going to sit here and say on live Conduit the Celestials is going to be the best build, or Shadowpan or whatever. It's just too early to tell. But on the PTR, Conduit feels really good. Bit of a long answer there, but I think that kind of made sense. Slicing Winds. I get my fun with Crackling Jade, Lightning, and Mistweaver. Yes, I've seen some crazy Crackling Jade Lightning damage from Mistweavers. I think it's a bug. But yeah, they do a lot of damage. I didn't even realize that Mistweavers use Crackling Jade Lightning until the PTR, because I just don't see them. I feel like I've run no dungeons with them all of Season 1, and I've definitely not seen them in my raids. But yeah, I think it's a cool new addition to Windwalker. But Slicing Winds is also really fun, especially with all the cooldown you can get on it. You can end up, like, casting this 3 times in your opener, if we're counting the opener as, like, your 30-second long crazy channel, basically. But yeah, that's enough rambling. Let's get some dungeons going. I'm going to sign up to a few here. I think we're going to go for Rookery, because I didn't get to test it last week. Not many groups were running Rookery. Floodgate's also out as well, so you got 5 dungeons on this weekly rotation, which is kind of cool. It means that there's a lot of different things we can try out. They've also made some pretty good changes to Operation Floodgate that I can have a little look at whilst we just wait for a queue. Ones that I agree with. So the Shreddinators were bringing out these Shredders. Basically, they're like this dangerous pack, and they're constantly throughout the dungeon. But like they'd bring out these like Shredders instantly, pretty much. They'd cast it and it'd be out. So they've increased that timer, which is like really good. It means you can move out, let it pop on you, then move back in. It means you can basically not all stack your melee up and then just get one shot, because they've also increased the ramping damage of it and its cooldown. Big Mama Jumpstart did an insane amount of damage. I'm glad they've reduced that. And the Electro Crush damage time is also reduced a bit. So they basically toned down this dungeon a bit. It wasn't one of the worst overtuned ones out of all the PTR testing I've done. It was definitely... Some of the bosses and some of the ads were very... very I'll one-shot you right now. They've also made Swamp Face a little bit nicer by highlighting your partner, because trying to work out who your partner was horrible. Because all 5 of you are basically stacked on top of each other to do the mechanics, and you don't really know who you're tied to unless you get lucky or they run out and you pull each other in. So, yeah. Nice changes overall. A lot of quality of life stuff. I didn't get invited? How dare they? Oh, let me into your Rookery. I promise I'll do good damage. What? Okay, so not going into that one either. Oh man, it's going to be one of those days. I need to warm up a little bit. So I'm going to start off with Shadowpan. So a little bit of a more like easier talent tree to go through, so I can talk a little bit to you guys whilst we kick off the stream. I also need to get my brain in the game. I haven't played WoW properly for... How long ago was Saturday? A few days. I haven't really played too much. I just haven't had time. I've been working and video editing and stuff. So Shadowpan's a good way to get back into it. Let's get some practice down. It feels really weird as well now not having Strike of the Windlord, because like my instinct is to just press my Strike of the Windlord button in the opener, but no longer a thing in the current best build. Also, I think Touch of Death is a little bit bugged, but only in like the open world at the moment. I think it does a lot of damage, like too much damage. It has been doing it since the PTR came out, actually. Like, Touch of Death has done some crazy damage, but not when you're in an actual dungeon. So now we'll Crackling Jade Lightning here. And you see it does insane damage. I mean, one 20-stat cast does as much as all my like other big abilities so far. So it's really good to have, and it's not something you really have to think about. You just stack it up basically, and then pop it when you're on a big enough trash pack. Oh, come on, let me in. I promise I'll do good. Oh no, my coffee's gone cold. Not good. Bad vibes, bad vibes. I have a rule that I only drink 3 coffees a day. It's a good rule, really, because you don't want to drink too much caffeine. Unfortunately, this is my 4th one, so I just really needed one. I was like half falling asleep on my way. Not also I was driving, but when I got home, I was like, oh my god, I need to set up everything. I was like half falling asleep, so I was like, right, coffee. Poured so much in. So hopefully I don't crash. What is with the Windwalker hate so far today? No one's accepting me so far. I'm getting meta-locked, guys. Just straight off the bat, meta-locked. Is it because of my item level? I guarantee like a few people are seeing this item level and going, oh no, we don't want that guy. His item level's too low, but I've set it up in a way that my item level's got good stat balance, and then you always scaled in your dungeon, so it doesn't matter. I could see someone just looking at that. What's towel keys testing? What does that even mean? What's a towel key? What? What? Is the current Shadowpan meta not Strike of the Windlord? Yeah, so currently the best build for like Shadowpan that's been like more or less theory crafted, not by me, I'm not a theory crafter really, I'm just a beta tester. No, I just tend to more test. I mean, I did try out a few things on the PTR to begin with. None of them really stuck, so people better than me found out this build. And it's basically a way to get the Crackling Jade Lightning on your Shadowpan, but then also get a lot of like Bok damage in. So you're basically playing around Bok, but to do that, you need to kind of cut out this entire side of the tree. And realistically, Strike of the Windlord isn't actually that strong of an ability for Shadowpan. It's a little bit deceptive in how much damage it does. Anyone that played Dragonflight, Strike of the Windlord will be like in their minds like a really good ability and something that did loads of damage, but it's not as good as it used to be. So it's not actually the biggest loss in the world to entirely lose this section of the tree, just because you put everything into Bok, which they buffed on live, and they've done a few little changes here and there on the PTR. And then you keep the middle. Basically, you don't want to lose this middle section. The trade-off would be like losing things like Dual Threat and Transfer of Power, and it's just... Strike the Windlord ain't that good. I think the biggest issue is losing Gale Force. Gale Force is like a really strong passive. You get a lot of damage off of it. So that is the downside. And that's basically one of the things that's really good about Cock at the moment. Celestial of the Conduit, what makes it so good at the moment is that you're kind of working on your Gale Force windows as well to try and get as much damage as possible off just a simple passive. I mean, I've been keyed up here for like 4 minutes and they're just like, they're blue balling me. There's no easier way to say it. They're just, let me in. Who are you waiting for? Oh my god. Fine, I'll hit dummies. I'm okay hitting dummies. So in terms of like opener for Shadowpan now, I think it's gonna be like more or less the same as what it was. Like Shadowpan rotation wise is relatively not going to change at all. Like there's going to be barely anything changing to it. It's all going to be Conduit the Celestial where the changes come in. I think it's pretty much going to be the exact same opener, bar you just don't strike with the Windlord now. And you put a bit more focus into Spinning Crane Kick. But we did good AoE damage. What I find with this build is that the damage seems to scale the more I go on a target dummy. So you can see it's like 3 point whatever now, but like as you keep going, it like slowly it builds up. Every time you use Crackling Jade Lightning, it just seems to ramp and ramp and ramp. I don't quite know what the final number is of where it stops ramping, but it does seem to, like, Crackling Jade Lightning does so much burst. I think you're also gonna want to be spending a bit more time, like, trying to get Chi spenders out, just to build up Crackling Jade Lightning. Like, obviously Tiger Palm's important, but you do want to be, like, Blackout kicking a bit more as well, seeing as it's a big Blackout kick build. Oh, they declined me in the end. Amazing, thank you. They didn't even accept anyone else, they just declined me. Okay. What do you mean? See, my worry on Wednesdays is that no one's really playing at this time, so my biggest concern is, am I going to find a group? Not, am I going to get accepted into a group? That's not really what I'm thinking in my head. I'm thinking, oh god, I hope there are people playing. Turns out there's loads of people playing. They just don't want me. I also think it's really useful to try line up Zwan as well with Crackling Jade Lightning when you can. If that opportunity ever arises. Like, there's going to be certain things that you can do to try min-max on Shadowpan, but realistically it's kind of just brain off, to be honest. I mean, we've all played it for, what, how long now? 5 months? We more or less know how it works. How long have I been playing Windwalker? So I started playing Windwalker in Warlords of Draenor, but that's when I first ever started playing WoW. So I don't know if you'd class that as playing Windwalker. I existed as a Windwalker, right? Like, I had no idea what was going on. I was just happy to be there. Like, I remember hearing people say that WoD sucked and everybody hated it, and I was just there enjoying myself. Like, just clearing heroic raids and stuff, you know, just having a good time. It's when I spent a lot more time, like, doing collection logs and stuff like that. I don't really spend a lot of time doing things like that anymore. And then I played it in Legion? Yeah, Legion was the next one. But I only played it at the end because I kind of stopped playing WoW at the start of Legion. So I played it in Antorus, which is when people say that it was really good. And that's when the Lightning build, like, initially came out, wasn't it? It was like a Legion artifact or Legendary, whatever you want to call it. Then, what was after Legion? BFA. I barely played BFA. I took a massive break, and I also took a break from Windwalker. I played Rogue, like Outlaw Rogue at a push, maybe a bit of subtlety, and I did that as well in Shadowlands, but then once again I took a bit of a break. My computer basically broke, and I was like, nope. Nope. I just couldn't be bothered anymore. And then Dragonflight came around, and I've been playing Windwalker, like, properly, Mythic, pushing and stuff like that since the start of Dragonflight. So that's when I properly got into trying to be good at Windwalker, if that makes sense. Like, I spent a lot of time, like, trying to min-max, learning it. And yeah. So, I've been playing it since WoD, but I've been, like, playing it since Dragonflight. Just trying to get the most out of it I possibly can. I love it. It's really fun. I've enjoyed all the iterations as well. Some people haven't. So, like, some people don't really like everything about it. Like, there's a lot of things that you... I mean, there's a lot of things you can hate about Windwalker. We're very buggy. Like, one of the buggiest specs in the entire game, right? Storm, Earth, and Fire just, like, innately has issues. The fact that you make clones of yourself just in itself is like, this is going to be a problem. And then it always seems to find a bug. I mean, the biggest one we had this season was the Celestial Conduit bug, where you would, like, send your guys in like that, pop Celestial Conduit back here, and they just do an insane amount of damage. That was a crazy one. That was fixed relatively quickly, but it definitely saw some play. Maybe they'll take me. I mean, I've got to try apply to anything at this point. Maybe they'll take me. They got a Brewmaster. Monks stick together. Like, they got to take me. There's no way, dude. But yeah, I've been playing Windwalker for a while. I don't really play any other classes. I mean, I mentioned a few times that I'm leveling like a Demon Hunter. I play it, like, on the side, but, like, not actively. I just play it because I kind of have to. For splits next season, we're basically where we, like, you run loads of different heroic groups to try to get your main characters, like, the best gear possible. I don't really know how splits work. I kind of got the idea. Like, I think that's the idea. Just lots of heroic runs on different characters. But I've got to do that. So that'll be a lot of playtime as well. To basically try and like pump as much gear into this character as possible to get it as high up level. I think that's the general idea. I don't know if you have to stack like leather and cloth and stuff like that, but why is no one taking me? I don't... Am I blacklisted? They've taken 2 hunters, but not a monk, please? I just want to play the game. They're also not taking me. Have I done something wrong? Am I on the naughty list? Hello. I joined your group. Smile. Oh, I just want to do some keys. I don't think it would be this hard to get into them. It's a little bit frustrating. Because I know that you guys want to see some keys as well. See how Monk's actually playing out. I mean, I'd form my own group, but... I don't know, I always find the issue of forming your own group is trying to get a tank and a healer. It's a little bit easier when there's a tank and a healer already in a group. I mean... I guess I can make my own group. I don't really know what keys I have. I didn't plan for this. I didn't plan ahead this far. I planned to join a group instantly and do some dungeons. No one said I wouldn't get in. Oh no. Oh, you've been enjoying Windwalker since Legion? Haven't dropped it? Yeah, I think Legion Windwalker was really, really fun. I think that's when a lot of people really enjoyed playing Windwalker. I don't know how people felt about it in BFA because I wasn't really in the loop. And I know it had a really, really good point in Shadowlands where it was just broken. I think it was like Bone Dust Brew or something that people were just absolutely abusing because it was just so busted. In Dragonflight... We were okay. We were never, like, amazing. I think the best time for Windwalker and Dragonflight was, like, at the very start. We were really strong to start off with. And then we just kind of dropped off. Like, at no point are we bad. Like, there's no point are we, like, don't come to raid tomorrow because you're a Windwalker. But we do tend to get undertuned a little bit. And then, like, Blizzard will, like, pity buff us maybe halfway through a tier. And then we'll move up, like, a couple of steps, and then we'll just drop back down and everybody forgets. So hopefully we start off a little bit stronger. So that's what I'm hoping all these changes have been for. I mean, I don't mind playing a lower damage spec, because when I come out on top in a raid, then I'm feeling like, damn dude, you guys got smoked by a Windwalker. Oh. I really enjoyed Season 2 of Dragonflight with the Shadowflame Rising Sun kick. Yeah, that was an interesting time where we were basically... Our AoE was our single target, and our single target was our AoE. It made Mythic Plus quite interesting. It didn't really, like, increase anything in raid, but I remember Mythic Plus just felt so weird, like Rising Sun kick being like, yeah, your main damage and stuff. It was a very strange time. But I don't mind tier sets like that actually make some sort of change to your gameplay. What I don't like are tier sets like this that don't do anything. Like, our current tier set, like, you can't min-max this. It's RNG. Like, sometimes your stacks run off, sometimes they don't. Like, there's no real thinking about it. It's all passive. Which is fine for, like, a tier 1, where you're kind of, like, getting it into the... Like, getting into the game again, or, like, you're learning new hero talents and stuff, but... There's nothing new to it. So, I guess we'll have to wait for tier 3. That's usually when they bring out, like, the more gimmicky ones that actually have a big change to your rotation. Like, Dragonflights was when we had the Blackout Kick that reduced all our cooldowns. That was pretty fun. I don't know how most people felt about that. I enjoyed it. I just enjoy playing Windwalker. I'll take whatever they give me. Alright, if I don't get invited to these ones, there's something wrong with me, and I need to relog. Guarantee that'll fix it. Yeah, the season tier set seems boring, but I think it's for all classes. I haven't heard anybody, like, hyping up their tier set. I think it's all kind of the same thing. They're all just kind of RNG, something to do with, like, your big abilities. I don't know how to describe it. I haven't really looked into other classes. But from the sounds of it, it's all kind of the same concept. I am actually going to tweak a little bit. Why won't you take me? Right. Okay, I'll make my own group with blackjack and hookers. Title is not going to be B. Ew, give me a keystone. The issue is I don't think you can Oh, no, you can. Let's just do a 10 something. We'll do Rookery, because I kind of want to test out Rookery. All right, let's see if I can create my own key. It's like a Build-A-Bear, but a little less complex. Okay, maybe it is a bit complex. I can't remember where I put these things in my bags now. Where am I? Am I blind? All I can see are my citrons. Okay, we got a keystone. Where are the things that I bought to... Oh, I'm actually blind. I don't know what... I don't know what I'm looking for. We want to do Rookery. Okay, it went in my bags. Where is it? Oh, okay, there. Right. Okay. Okay, right. They just spawn in random locations in my bags. Sure, thank you. Okay, Rookery, and then we'll put it to a 10. We'll have one more look to see if there are any groups that... Hey, I don't want to do a 5. Get out of here. Rookery 10. I'll accept anybody who wants to join. Because I'm a Windwalker, and we don't care about meta. A little bit. Plus, it's kind of the PTR. Who cares? I just want to do a dungeon. You know what I mean? 671, get in here. Rating of 0? Absolutely, come in. Come play. I want to see warriors as well. I've barely seen any warriors on the PTR, but I think they're starting to come out of the woodworks now because of all the big changes that have come in for them. Both Fury and Arms seem to get like increased numbers across the board. I'm not too sure about Prot, but Prot's always decent, right? How do I feel about slicing winds? I think it's good. I think it's going to get some used to. Like, on the first day of PTR testing, I really struggled with getting used to pressing slicing winds, as well as, like, I basically had to rekeybind Flying Serpent Kick to trick my brain into not using it as a movement ability, because I kept using it as, like, a way to get around, like, just innately being like, this is Flying Serpent Kick, right? I moved. Then suddenly you've lost, like, one of your biggest damage cooldowns. So there were some issues there, so there'll be a bit of teething and getting used to it, especially if you haven't done any PCR testing, for sure. But once you're used to it, it fits really nicely. The main concept is, like, it gets cooldowned as well. So as well as, like, Fist of Fury, Rising Sun Kick, Strike of the Windlord, they all get massive cooldowns from it. So basically, you're spamming this ability that has a 30-second timer for cooldowns. But actually, it's more like... It's easily more like 20. It's really fun. They also... Here, let me switch to Conduit. They also tweaked it a little bit. At first, it kind of, like... Basically, the idea is that you one-tap it, if that makes sense. So you click it quickly, and then you don't, like, dash a little bit to deal damage. Like, holding it is possible, and you can use it if you really need to, like, use it as a mobility damage, for instance. Like, that is... I've used it a few times on the PCR. But the basic idea is that you one-tap it and barely move. Initially, that took you, like, kind of about where my cursor is now. And there was a lot of, like, feedback that this was too far. It kind of displaced Monk a little bit. I didn't mind too much, but there was enough feedback that Blizzard changed it, and I kind of like how they changed it. You basically move to about where my cursor is now, so I'll dash in a sec. Let's see if I'm accurate on this. So about there. Yeah, more or less, a little bit further than I thought. But yeah, so it's only a tiny dash. So the idea is that you're going to have everything grouped up in M+, press this tiny little dash and a one-tap, and then within, like, 20 seconds, you'll be pressing it again, and then in 20 seconds of that, you'll be pressing it again. It's not bad. I don't think it, like, interrupts the rotation too much or causes, like... It's not, like, an issue. It's kind of like Crackling Jade Lightning. It's just an extra button that you press every so often. And it does really good damage. They buffed that as well. So, TLDR, I like it. I don't see any issues with it. I just wish it wasn't so far down the tree. I think that's the main concern from a lot of players, is that to get Slicing Winds, you have to go fully into this, which means you lose a lot of other things. Which can be a bit of an issue. Gale Force is fine, but a lot of people kind of like suggested maybe put it on a node with Strike of the Windlord. Which in hindsight, that would be kind of bad if you're running it for like Celestial Conduits because you need Strike of the Windlord. But potentially putting it on a node with like Thunder Fist or something could work. So it's not too far down, so you're not having to like waste too many points. At the end of the day, it's not too bad now that we've worked out these kind of builds for it. But I think initially the concern was you're putting so much into this tree here that you're losing out on a lot of, like, Drinking Horn cover, you know, Jade Ignition, a lot of other things that we used to run in M+. But it kind of works out because of the Heart of the Jade Serpent buffs. I think that made sense. let's say that made sense. I like it. I'm not very good at, like, short answers. I don't know if you guys have noticed. If you ask me a question, I'll like ramble about a minute for it. Short answers, what are those? Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can like slice up all like these this entire like school here. It's a good animation. Not that I condone slicing up children. Delete that. We got a tank. That is step 1 completed. Make sure we say hi to him so he doesn't leave the group. That's step 2 completed. This is how you run dungeon groups, by the way, on live. Always make sure you say hi. Some people don't like it when you don't say hi. Like generally, I've had people like leave groups because you don't say hi to them. Plus, it's just manners, right? It's just a hi. The worst thing I find though, and this is because I'm a really awkward person, is people will join my group and I'll say hi to the first one. And then I don't want to say hi to the next one. I have to put a different variation. So I'll say hey. And then the next person, I'll be like, yo. It's honestly just a me thing. I just overthink it. I'm like, oh no. Oh god. I'm able to take words back. Sometimes I don't know what I say in these things. Oh god, we have loads of sign-ups. Okay, now I can be choosy. This guy is a shaman with Chinese symbols, so I'm going to take him. Because, 1, I like seeing enhanced damage and getting angry about it because he presses 1 button. And 2, I just think that shamans are useful for Windwalker. We kind of synergize quite well together. As well as warriors. If I was like making a perfect dungeon group, this would be it. Plus a priest healer. And then I think like Windwalker's like hot off the press. Verse buff. Verse buff. Battle Shout, Wind Fury, all of these things just kind of work with us really well. It's like my ideal dungeon group. Somehow I've managed to get it on the PTR. It's just looking for a healer now. I need to make sure as well that I change talents. I do keep forgetting that, and then I'll end up going into the dungeon with talents I don't want on. I will leave this window up as well, so I want to nab the first healer that joins. I don't care who they are, what they do. I wonder if you can build up a Crackling Jade Lightning and take it into a dungeon. I haven't tried it, because I know the only thing that really resets your Crackling Jade Lightning stacks is death. So, like, you see what I mean? I've got 20 stacks here, and then in the top right you can see 20 stacks as well, but there's no timer on it. Like, this shouldn't fall off until I next press Crackling Jade Lightning. I'm going to go on the assumption that, yes, because Mythic Plus, like, pretty much resets everything, it'll probably reset that. But that could be some interesting tech. You just walk into a Mythic Plus dungeon with a 20-stack Crackling Jade on your opener. There's no way. There's no way. But could there be? Yeah, nothing feels worse in this build than dying with stacks of Crackling Jade Lightning. It is not fun. That is the only downside to this build, is that if you end up, like, for any reason, losing your stacks or finding something that... Like, if you end up on a boss, for instance, and you've got 20 stacks, you might as well just funnel it into him, because there's the toss-up of how long can I hold this before I've held it for so long that I'm just losing resources. So it's going to be a bit of learning that, I think, with this build. That is a DPS. Where did my other DPS go? He just left. Okay. So how are you playing the dungeons earlier? What do you mean by that? What, as in, like, how did I do dungeons previously? Or, like, builds for the dungeons? So if you're interested in the builds, it's basically, there's just 2 builds at the moment for Mythic Plus. I mean, it's good to have 2 different builds, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of more variation, but these are the ones that I've been using at the moment. One's just a Shadow Pan, more bot focused, and the other one's a celestial conduit. Oh, oh, right. How am I playing the dungeons? Oh, right. No, I get you. Basically, this is the PTR. So this is like the... I think it stands for Public Testing Realms? Public Testing Regions? One of the two. Anybody can play it. You just have to go to your... I think you have to go to your actual Blizzard account on the internet and activate the PTR on there first. And then once you've got it set up, then you can just download it on the actual Battle.net client. And then it's really simple. You can just copy your character over, and then, you know, obviously the UI stuff takes a bit of time. But yeah, they've released they're basically getting us to test the game for them, more or less. We're just the testers at the moment to make sure these dungeons aren't absolutely scuffed out of their minds, and I'll be honest, they have been. Some of them have been atrocious to run. All the legacy ones were good. All the legacy ones were fine. I didn't see many issues there. Operation Floodgate was good, but all of the War Within ones were horrendously tuned last week. Like, it wasn't even fun playing it. Like, it was so bad. You could do like a +2 to a +5, fine, no issues. But the moment you got into anything like a +10, you just wipe on everything. Do I get any gear? Yeah, you can get loads of stuff. You can try everything. So basically what I've got on at the moment is the brand new tier set that we're going to have for next season, as well as that you get like different trinkets that you can try out. Pretty much anything that's going to come out next season you can try out. New weapons, and it's all in like in Stormwind. You can try like get everything basically. Like you got your set pieces over here, you get all your trinkets, jewelry, everything over here. Yeah, it's really cool. I've never used the PTR before this season, the past few weeks. I've never like really done PTR testing before, but it's really user friendly, and it gives you kind of like an idea of how to play. And I think it's really useful as well for Windwalker because we're getting a few changes. Like obviously there's going to be time on live servers. You're not going to go into the live straight into, you know, yeah, M+ dungeons. You always get that week, don't you, with a little bit of downtime where you can test out builds and stuff. They're always usually good with that. But it's nice to get a little bit of a head start, test some things out, see what works, what doesn't. Is the swirlies better as well? Yes. Yeah, it's basically like a beta. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. The swirlies are better. I've noticed it in the new dungeon, the legacy dungeons, and the War Within dungeons, as well as the raid. They basically completely changed how swirlies look. They're now just circles, and they've got clear outlines. It's really clear where you can stand or not. So there's no more saying, oh, I wasn't stood in that, because, like, you know when you're stood in that now. So I think that's one of the good changes that they've made. It's been a long time coming. They, like, think about that. Think how long this game's been out, and now they've only just changed swirlies. Like, what were some of the worst bosses for it? I remember Fire Act being atrocious for it, because there were swirlies coming in constantly, non-stop. This is normal, isn't it? They're going to shout at me. Oh, no, it's Mythic. Oh, I'm so prepared, guys. We're finally in a dungeon. It only took us 40 minutes. Yay. Bug? What do you mean, bug? No, you're not allowed to have bugs. You've got to play my dungeon. So this dungeon I haven't done. This is like the only one on the... Oh my god, no, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do a ready check. This is the only dungeon I haven't run, so... It might be a little bit scuffed on my end. Not gonna lie, guys. I know they've changed some of the things about this one. I've done it on Heroic a few times. Obviously, Heroic's not quite M+, is it? The idea is that it should be okay, but I do expect to die a few times just from not quite knowing what's going on. Arakara first boss with his AoE moves? Yep. There's just, like, tons of things, basically. Anything with swirlies was always bad. They just... I don't know. It's just a nightmare, really, swirly mechanics, and it always felt bad. Like, nothing felt good about getting one-shot by something you knew you were outside of, because you were outside of the animation on the floor, but obviously you weren't. Cheeky 7 million damage there, don't mind me, just Windwalker things. However, that warrior just hit... Bro did 10 million damage with cleave. What? Oh, we are getting a little bit of buff from Windwalker. Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a misrepresentation of damage. It's going to fill my ego, though, but I do need to create another window as well for overall damage. I will do that when there's a little bit of downtime. I know there was like 40 minutes of downtime before this dungeon. I forgot. Have I mentioned that I'm new to streaming? So we should get a nice Crackling Jade Lightning off here. The ideal amount of targets for a Crackling Jade Lightning is 5. So, like, look at these new swirlies. Like, they're so obvious. So this is 5 targets, and now we get a nice one. You just want to make sure you do not cancel it. Like, cancelling that is going to be such a big DPS loss. But don't worry, guys. I'm creating a macro video that's coming out this week that's going to help you not cancel your Crackling Jade Lightnings. What? Who said that? Whoa. That's really useful. Oh, I make myself cringe. Oh, it's this affix. This is the affix that Windwalkers are really good at. It's the one where we... Okay, I mean, I was hyping up Windwalker and then someone else popped it. But we can just put our Ring of Peace down and pop every single one of those. Windwalkers are really good for this affix. We're really good for a lot of affixes, actually. We're really good for the health one. You know, when they put like a little like debuff on you over your health bar. We're really good for that one. We're really good for the ab that spawns. You just touch a death of it and it dies. Awesome. What else are we really good for? Is that it? I think they brought some new affixes out, but I haven't really been able to test them. So right there, what I did is I had a Crackling Jade Lightning on 20, but I debated using it and I held it for the next pack. Because in my mind, it's just better to use it on more targets. It's like a, how much time can you spend before you are wasting resources? And I think that was fine. Let me get the overall dungeon damage up. Okay, cool. 5 million? That's a little cheeky. So this boss, I think this boss on like Heroic and like just standard Mythic is really simple. I think they've definitely made changes to it. No idea what they've done. But we are quite good for this boss, I think. I think we actually get to utilize Transcendence. Which is, you know, you don't often get to use Transcendence, but when you do, oh man, it feels good. You forget it's a spell until, like, you really, really need it. No, I agree, oh my god, I'm butchering that. Oh my god! Mopaxable? There we go, got it in the end right. Just say that's right. Just ignore whatever just came out of my mouth before that. No, yeah, literally, I do feel like we test the game for them. Obviously, there's internal testing, right? Like, there just is, but it does feel a bit like players just test everything out, which makes sense to a degree. Like, for other games, there's, of course, like, PvEs and stuff like that, beta servers, but this one's going to be out for, like, over a month or two, like, total. Well, that's kind of crazy, right? Like, how many bugs do you think your game has? How bad is the tuning? But I'd rather they have a longer PTR session than release the game in a state where it goes live, like, last season, right? Remember last season doing, Ow, okay. Boss is hurt. What was I saying? You remember last season when, like, dungeons came out, like Necrotic Wake, for instance, and it was absolutely bugged beyond relief. No one had fun on that, right? What's going on here? Is this a new ability? Oh! Oh, no. Alright, so this is where Windwalkers shine. Kind of. Kind of? Yeah. See, look, you can just Transcendence there. And then you should be fine. So you don't have to run around like a melon for the entire time, which is not going to be enjoyable. But that ability comes in really slow that actually it might not be too bad to run around for the entire time. This boss definitely got some changes. I have no idea what he's doing. Oh, this really hurts, actually. Oh, no. I will read chat after this boss. I need to lock in for this one. Already a few players dead. And we got an affix coming in. No defenses for this. I can see, look, that's why Ring of Peace is so good. You see, I can, like, basically break all of them. You can also paralysis one as well. Really useful. And then I'll just use my same Transcendence clone for these orbs that come in as well. It looks like the only issue is, I swear before this was only one lightning. Okay. I'm not going to Transcendence. I'm just going to focus on not dying. Okay. That really hurt. Are we on fortified? We are, okay. I did think the ad seemed a little bit easy. Holy shit. Look at the damage. Casual 2 million, Windwalker. I do like that about Windwalker. I do find that even though we go like AoE builds, our boss damage always seems like to be decent. Even on live servers, I always find like we don't like fall off massively from our AoE builds. This is bad. Oh, that's not good. Tank dead. Break all of those. Crackling Jade Lightning. There's one more that we can't get. It's a little bit too far away. I think someone managed to get it, though. I'm just going to heal. Okay, boss down, I think. I'm not saying that was mega messy. But that was mega messy. Kind of a cool boss, though. I did enjoy that. Do we expect to have 90 crest week cap in Season 2? Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I know they released a blue post yesterday where they like went through all of the changes to M+, and they seemed like, I haven't read it properly. I just haven't had time to like fully look into it. But from like my general reading, it looks like M+ is going to be a bit kinder, if that makes sense. Like, I think that they're getting away with the, you know how like you do an M+, where am I going? Can I, what am I doing? You know how in M+ you would basically, every time a player died, you gain 15 seconds on your timer, you wiped, and your group basically disbanded. They're getting rid of that for anything below a +12, which is kind of a really good change, because that felt awful. Like, your groups would literally just disband, and, like, that was kind of a really punishing affix. So it's fine on +12s, I think. Where it's a little bit more challenging, and if you wipe anyway on like anything higher than a 12, like a 13, 14, you've probably lost, like you probably haven't timed it anyway. So I think that's a good change. In terms of crests and stuff, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I think they've made it so gilded crests now drop from 7s. I don't know, I really just haven't read it enough. I'll try to read it before tomorrow. And give a little bit of an update on that. But there is, if you go on Wowhead, it should be one of like the most recent posts they have. Basically good changes. I didn't see any complaints really for any of the changes. Remember Dawnbreaker? It's like it still have transparent ground walls in that church. Dawnbreaker was mega buggy. Dawnbreaker was horrible in that the ship is still buggy to this day. I've seen people fall through that floor on, you know, live still to this day. I remember, like, you'd literally, like, someone would fall through the floor, right? Your group would wipe because you didn't have enough DPS. Disband. Like, okay. It's a cool idea for a dungeon, but it's a little bit, like, it needed testing. Like, it needed a lot more testing. So, it's not a bad thing that we've got a lot of these dungeons testing, and they've obviously made changes to them. Like, this one last week. I imagine was like all the others where it was overtuned and you couldn't even do it on a 10. This doesn't seem too bad. Like, this seems how I'd expect a 10 to feel, right? So it just means on live we're not going to suffer as much where it actually matters. At least they don't leave the puddles. Yeah, they also changed that, didn't they? No more puddles. I love the new swirlies. I do too, Frosty. It just makes it so much easier to see where you are, what you can't stand in. No more complaining, you know. You don't have to like, was I in it? Was I not in it? If you were in it, you are in it. like this, for instance. Like, you know exactly where it ends. I have cooldowns. I'm just going to save them for a bigger part. I'm going to pop everything on the next pack, I think, including Zwan, Storm Earth and Fire, Lightning. Try to get the most out of my lightning, so I'm not allowed to die here. If I die here, that's bad. Oh, they're trying though. They're trying to stop me doing what I want to do. Mr. Streamer, can you please share your overall experience playing Melee and M+ and Raid Season 2? It's difficult for Season 2, because it's not out yet. Like, there's only so much like you can say about PTR. I don't know. I've never had an issue with Melee. I think, like, melees like to complain. Like, don't get me wrong, I complain about everything. But at the same time, we have it a lot easier for like certain mechanics that range don't, if that makes sense. Like sometimes it sucks to be a range, sometimes it sucks to be a melee. I think melee have it easier, and anyone that says they don't is like, you're kind of capping. Like melee is always like in theory easier because you can constantly like move out of things faster. You don't have to cast, right? If that makes sense. Like you're not constantly like if something interrupts your movement, you can still attack, right? If we have to move, we're still hitting stuff. Like I can run circles around these ads. A mage or something suffers in that way. So, but for season 2, it's hard. Oh my god, that okay. I died. Cringe. Season 2, it's hard because I've from the dungeons that I've tested that aren't the legacy ones, all the new ones seem rough. Cinderbrew seemed really rough, but I think it's just over-tuning. Like, I've done Floodgate. Floodgate seems fine. Like, I think there's no real issues there, and they've nerfed them. What are we dying to? Please, sir, stop one-shotting me. What's the other one? Operation Mechagon seems okay as well. I didn't feel too many issues there as melee. What else do we have? I'm completely forgetting all the dungeons. Have I forgotten already? It's my... I literally have been doing them for the past few weeks. What else have we got? God damn it. Motherload, fine. I've only done that one once though, but it seems to be fine. Theater of Pain, also fine. I don't think there's much issues being melee. To be honest. Not off the top of my head. I think melee and range suffer more in raid. Like, there's definitely like some raid encounters where I could notice that if you're playing melee, you're going to have a horrible time. But hopefully they've kind of changed some of those. Rick Reverb, for instance, is like one of those key ones where it seems that like if you're melee, you're probably not getting into like a group, which sounds kind of messed up, right? But it is that bad. So hopefully they change that, because what is going on? Am I meant to move out of this? I don't think I really answered your question there, I'll be honest. I think it's hard to tell, especially on the PTR, and there's still going to be changes, so... Personally, no big issues for melee, but I'm willing to be surprised. That was a bad answer. I've read Blue Post. They weren't talking about crest cap at all. I bet we'll have some cap. Probably. Oh, you pass it to people. I screwed that Orvoker. He must be screaming right now. Crest cap. I mean, probably, right? The issue is they kind of have to cap it. Otherwise, like, you just get too much gear too fast. And they've already made some like, what's the word I'm looking for? They've already like made it a little bit easier this season, coming up to get like crests and stuff. So there'll definitely be a cap. What it will be, I'd imagine it'll be the same. Like, there's 90 seemed alright, right? It wasn't that bad. I mean, it felt bad in the first few weeks, but after that, not too bad, right? Like, especially if you made an ult or something, you didn't even feel it. What I hated was getting Valor Stones. Valor Stones is what I hated. Having to get them on an ult or something felt atrocious. You never seem to be able to get any, like, from doing raids and stuff. Like, you'd finish an entire, like, raid or something, and suddenly you'd have, like, none. It'd be like, why did I spend my entire... I just completed this raid and I got, like, 200. I can upgrade one piece of gear. Cool. Also, this boss is horrendous. What is this, by the way? Oh, no. I've got a dot on me. This is... Okay, you want me to tell you what sucks as melee? This sucks as melee. Okay. There's the answer to that one. This is horrible. He constantly casts swirlies. He constantly casts lasers that shoots out. The entire ground is lava. Okay, yeah, this boss sucks as melee. But I did kind of know that from Heroic and Mythic, just on live, that this boss sucked. I remember. It's all coming back to me. The nightmare that never ends. Yeah, you're gonna definitely want to be a caster on this fight. Just switch to Mistweaver. Wait, no, Mistweaver's melee, isn't it? Just switch to Brewmaster and start throwing kegs. You'll be better off. won't suck as bad. I think we do lust this one. Alright, I'm going to have to actually think on this boss, because this is quite difficult. So I'm under the impression, don't stand in the circle as another player. Right, okay, no, okay, I didn't think. I just rolled. So this circle passes to you no matter what. It doesn't matter that you're stood on top of it. I was under the assumption that because I kept standing in it, it passed. It seems to pass no matter what. So I don't know if you can manipulate it. Is it the closest person, potentially? This is just a get out. The lasers are obviously just a dodge. We've got an entire group of melee. This is a horrible boss. But I died to my own stupidity. Never roll when mechanics are coming in. But do I learn? It's not the Windwalker way to learn from your mistakes. Roll and roll again. It's probably going to be a fight that you play on the corner and then move to the other side of the room slowly but surely. I don't think you want to start it off in the middle. But it's definitely a like a room boss. Does that make sense? Like, you need to make use of the entire room. Otherwise, you're just going to get that stuff on the floor. Yeah. All right, we'll try play from like side to side. I think that's how you're gonna have to do this boss, because anything that goes in the middle is basically screwing everyone. We should put buffs more efficiently. Buffs? What do you mean by buffs? The circles. So he only shoots the lasers out when he jumps, and this constantly, like... Yeah, so he's going to jump there. You need to, like, back off and then watch where the lines are, basically. And then he dark gravities, but I don't know if this hurts initially. It doesn't seem to hurt until, like, the last tick, so you might be able to be cheeky and, like, stay in min-max damage there. Being a little bit greedy with my defensives here and use them all when I don't think I needed to. I think whenever you get that circle on you, like I have now, this is when you're probably going to want a defensive. Yeah, because I got hit by the splash of that, and then the pop of this as well. It's just too much. So it looks like you'll need a defensive if you get it at the same time. Oh man, this boss slaps. This boss ain't got no chill. I bet he jumps on ranged armor dealers first, like pulls on first boss and Dawn DW? What's DW? I'm having a mind blank. But yes, I'm sure you're probably right. The circle seems to jump to whoever is closest, or just anyone. I don't think it takes too much priority. So that's kind of easy to juggle. You just have all the players kind of like stood in a circle, it'll pass. But I think the player that has it overlap with the jump needs to have a defensive. That was me in that instance. I had nothing and I just got popped. There was no saving my soul there. Dawnbreaker. Ah, yes. This sucks. Oh no, please. I don't like it when someone says that. You know what follows this sucks? They're gonna leave. We go again. We'll test. He's the furthest player away. No, I got it, so... Yeah, I think you're right about the jump, though. The jump is definitely the furthest player. So I think that's why he's playing over in that corner. And this just seems to jump between the melee. It's hard to tell. But I think you can only get it once per rotation. So you don't want it on this rotation, because that player's going to take so much damage. But you can definitely stay in this and be a little bit greedy. And you probably have to be honest. Oh no, I'm going to get it for the jump. I know it. I'm going to get it for the jump. Yeah. Right, we're popping a defensive for this. Yeah, this isn't too bad, actually. Like, look how little of the floor is actually covered in stuff now. Maybe shouldn't have, like, pulled them this far out. But you can see how much you can, like, use the room here. Look, I just dash over me. Oh no, healer down. That is really bad. I'm gonna get it for the jump. I'm gonna get it for the jump. That's a health pot, that one. Might be okay, actually. No, you're not meant to die. What? He wasn't meant to die. Why did he run into the juice? I think we could have done that. I had my cooldowns. I think I could have survived every single circle there. I was actually not worried. No lie. This seems doable. This doesn't seem like the bosses last week where everything felt overtuned and impossible. This just seems like learning. No, I don't think he's overtuned. I don't think he's... I disagree with that. You can't see chat. Druid said he thinks he's overtuned. I don't think this is overtuned. I think this is completely doable. I think knowing when the big damage comes out is important. There are a few overlaps that are a bit harder than others, but nothing nothing one-shots you without a defensive here. Whereas like doing the Priory last week, so you'd touch any mechanic, it would one-shot you. Anything. As well as Dark Flame Cleft was okay, but what's the other one? The Meadery. That was horrendous. Like, you'd do the first room of trash and you'd have 30 deaths easily. Everything one-shot you. This seems doable. This just seems like learning how to do it, because no one's stepped foot in this dungeon since they did the Wolverine quest line, right? No one's been in here. Are you reading chat from YouTube? Yeah, man. Every time that I can, I read it. Usually when I'm fighting a trash pack or fighting a boss, I don't read chat because I mean I do, but I end up dying. So anytime there's like a little bit of downtime in between pulls, I have a look over, see if anything's messaged. Yeah. Ask any question you want. I am an open book. Kind of. Not that open. So yeah, he's gone to the corner and it's... Okay, yeah, okay. I got mechanics mistaken. So yeah, he'll leap. And then this will pass between the melee, but you don't want to stand inside of it, because I think that really hurts. And then I'm going to get it next, and I'm going to get the... Oh, no, I didn't. So I don't get the overlap. Blessed. And then we're going to be greedy here. A little bit greedy. Kind of lost some flurry strikes there. Not worth. That's like the perfect person you want this overlap on, your tank. They should just survive, right? Because they're a tank. Crazy, I know. But yeah, you can see how cleanly we're doing this now. Like, if one person dies, then it can get a little bit out of control. But you can see how cleanly this boss can be done. Not overtuned. You just need the range DPS to go, like, in a really good position. They've kind of got to manage the floor. Like, your most ranged DPS. So, like, the Evoker, who... isn't most ranged, obviously, but he's the one managing the floor for this fight. like, he'll take it to the corner and make sure he always leaps as far away as possible. Warrior dead, that's fine. He's not doing any floor manipulation. Not too worried about that. Oh. I see a touch of death. Oh my god, this boss is dead on my screen. Nuke it. Nuke him before he nukes us. Hey, that's actually progressing on a dungeon boss that I haven't hated, because it definitely seemed possible. Just tough. That's enjoyable. I like that. That was fun. Is the rotation different than retail? For Shadowpan, it's going to be about the same. Minus what is potentially going to be like, we're not going to run Strike of the Windlord. But for Shadowpan, yeah, more or less pretty much the same, minus like one ability, plus Crackling Jade Lightning. So if you played Shadowpan, it's going to feel really, really similar. Barely any changes. However, Conduit the Celestial, if you are familiar with it, is going to feel quite different. It's a little bit hard to explain. Like, there's a lot of components that go into it, and it'll be easier to show you by running it in a dungeon. Because me explaining it will do it no justice. But yes, that should be a lot more, like, complex now. Not in, like, so complex that you can't run it, but, like, to perfectly get Conduit the Celestial rotation, it appears to be, like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of ticking cogs. Ticking cogs? Can cogs kick? Kick? Tick? Oh, God, English. Oh! I remember if you pull this entire room, bad things happen. So let's pull the entire room. Trash doesn't seem too bad, though. I will be 100% honest. I think we're on a tyrannical rotation. I can only see out the corner of my eye. Is the oh no, I've answered that one. Yeah. If you watch the next dungeon, I'll go through Conduit Celestial as I like play it, so that'll be easier. Is that Luxthos in the middle of my screen? Yes, it is. It is my favorite weak aura. I absolutely love it. I don't think I could play this game without it. I'll be honest. I'm coddled by it, honestly. I just think it's so clean. It shows you anything you need to know in the middle of your screen. I died because I'm a idiot. I thought they changed the graveyards in these dungeons. What a walk. Okay, I can read some chat. I see that the middle you got Jade Lightning icon. Is that something new? No, so that was already inbuilt into Lothox, but because it was like a talent, he already inbuilt it in. But now because people are actually playing it, it's already there, so that's kind of cool. Like, for instance, Slicing Winds, I've had to have a little icon over here. This weird, like, green one that you see. This, sorry, no, not that one. the Flying Serpent kit, you can see I've got this massive icon here. It's because Slicing Winds isn't inbuilt into Lothox yet, because it's not, like, live. So he's obviously not done it yet. But Crackling Jade Lightning, yes, if you play on retail right now and you take these take these two talents, then it will show the stacks for you. It's just because standardly you don't build stacks, do you? Just recently started playing Windwalker, and it's insane how fun it is. Yeah, you keep avoiding it for years because I was thinking Kung Fu isn't my style, but dude, it's insane. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, like, I guess there's like class fantasy to a degree, but I like, yeah, I don't really like, it's obviously Kung Fu, right? So like hitting with fists and stuff, but I like just the play style of our mastery. I think it just makes Windwalker so unique. Like, I've been playing like a Demon Hunter, I played Warrior before, and all you do is you press the same button over and over and over again. Like, my friend was telling me about Elemental Shaman, right, at the start of the tier, and I was telling him about my rotation, so I was making like videos on it, and I was like, man, you gotta press like different button after different button, like, it's kind of crazy to get your hit combos up and stuff, so your mastery doesn't drop, and it's like constantly thinking about what's your next move. And he was like, oh yeah, I press Lightning Bolt 14 times in a row, and I was like, what do you mean you press Lightning Bolt 40? Like, is that fun? And not like saying what's fun and what's not fun, but to me that I couldn't do that. You'd just be sat there like counting 1 Lightning Bolt, 2 Lightning Bolt. Oh no, I've forgotten what number I'm on. Oh no, my rotation's screwed. Like, to me that's just crazy. Like, but to other people, that's fun. That's fine. I just really like the mastery of it. I like the weaving in and out of abilities. I don't mind the Kung Fu aspect. I do like the flavor. I do like Storm, Earth, and Fire, although it's mega buggy. I like the boys. And I like burst windows. If there's one thing I like about World of Warcraft, it's classes that have burst windows. So I really enjoyed Serenity, which a lot of people hated. And I really enjoyed Conduit of the Celestials, because it's a burst window. Burst windows are just really fun. Because you'll look at yourself in the damage meters, and you'll be like, what? Why am I in this place? And then you'll be like, but my burst window's about to come up. I'm about to jump up these rankings so fast. Oh, that was a piece of ground. There was no time. There was no time to get out of that. I mean, there was. I just went the wrong way. I've noticed you don't instantly press blackout kick or spinning when it's procced. That's interesting. So both spinning crane kick and blackout kick can stack up to 2 times. So as long as you're like not holding it on 2 for too long, it's not too big of an issue. Spinning crane kick you can like leave for a little bit. Blackout kick as well. Like obviously sometimes I'll leave them on 2 for a little bit longer than I'd like. But I tend to try get Fist of Fury out as much as possible and get that cooldown rolling. Because if you look at your like your overall, look how much of your damage is Fist of Fury. Like that is almost all my damage in these dungeons. So Fist of Fury is still like an insane ability that you need to keep on cooldown at all times. And then trying to get the reset. Spinning crane kick is then the second like highest priority, but only when it glows. You never want to really press it now when it's not glowing. Am I gonna die? What? That mid-air transcendence because I panicked there. Yeah, basically it's like a rule of 2 stacks basically, and you should be able to see on the Lux Loss on live as well that they both have like glowing icons and then they'll like stack to 2. So you can instantly press them. There's nothing wrong with instantly pressing them, and I do sometimes. But you have a little bit of leeway. You muted me. I'm not repeating that. Watch the VOD. Watch the VOD. I don't know which part I meant to repeat. Any question you asked, I answered. Any question you asked, I answered. Just go back a little bit. What the hell? Muted me. I'd mute me too. I don't know if we meant to pull this, but everyone's dying. How does Fist of Fury work? You stack it to 10 with... So don't worry about the stacking too much. Basically, it stacks, and you can see it stacking because of Transfer of Power, which is like a talent we take in all situations. Basically means that anytime you blackout kick, rising sun kick, spinning crane kick, you increase its damage. But don't like get zoned in on that or anything. Like, don't be like, I can't Fist of Fury till it's 10. It does not matter. You don't want to hold this at like 10 for too long, because you'll be losing stacks, but don't overthink the stacking of it. Yeah, don't worry about it too much. It's just a number that shows you how many stacks you have, but you can press it at 1, you can press it at 5, you can press it at 10. You don't have to hold it. Realistically, you never want to hold Fist of Fury for anything really. It's just all our damage, and you never want to cancel the channel of it either. Really don't want to do that. Which happens a lot when you're spam clicking like Tiger Palm or any of your other abilities. It's why I've got like a lot of macros set up that you can't see. I've got all these macros set up that basically stop me from cancelling Fist of Fury channel, because now, more importantly, like Dragonflight or anything like that, cancelling Fist of Fury is just a massive damage loss. You just never want to do it because of all the haste changes to it, as well as the talent that basically... This one here, momentum boost, basically it ramps damage with each tick. So you just don't ever want to cancel it, which can be really hard without a macro. Especially, like, because I'm a spam clicker, right? When I'm Fist of Furying, I'll be spam clicking Tiger Palm or something else. So to stop you doing that, you have to implement a macro. Macro play game for me. Yeah, basically keep it on cooldown. Yeah, mate. Keep it on cooldown and you should be alright. Generally in Mythic Plus, you want to Fist of Fury before you Rising Sun Kick. What I mean by that is mostly in AoE, because Rising Sun Kick you're mostly using as like a way to reduce the cooldown of your Fist of Fury. If you take that talent, which we usually do, it's down the middle tree. But in single target, you do then tend to... What is going on? Oh, and I might have to think about these boss mechanics for a second. I've never seen this in my life. Is this gonna hurt? Are we blowing up stuff? Oh, they are. Okay. I don't feel like I had to do anything there. Not my problem, question mark? Tank's dead? Not good? Okay, we'll ignore that. Yeah, so in AoE, Rising Sun Kick is a glorified cooldown reduction for Fist of Fury, but in single target, Rising Sun Kick is higher prio. It might slightly change, though, because of the changes to like our set piece and everything, but I'd be surprised if Fist of Fury becomes higher priority. I just don't see it. I know that it does more damage, so like on paper you think, man, I should be Fist of Furying way more in single target, but Rising Sun Kick still does a lot of damage, so it still kind of comes out on top. It's why you still use it more. And you don't... It's not a glorified cooldown resetter. It's more of like a damage amp, because at the same time, Rising Sun Kick, where is it? In single target, you take Rising Star, right? No way, that's not the... What am I thinking of? Oh, it's this one. Fast Feet? What am I thinking of? How have I lost a talent? There's a talent that makes it so that every time you Rising Sun Kick, it stacks and makes your next abilities like do more damage. So you kind of use it as a damage amp rather as a cooldown, glorified cooldown reduction. But I cannot for the life of me remember which one it was. I've made talent guides, by the way. Can you tell? Yesterday I did a 10 key and on some AoE trash I pulled so much DPS and none of those so low. So how properly AoE? So mostly Fist of Fury, way more in AoE. Yeah, I see a lot of people like not Fist of Furying as much, and you rely more on spinning crane kick. Fist of Fury is your like in retail at the moment. Fist of Fury is still like your highest damage. It'll be like really close between the two, but yeah, always be Fist of Furying. It does way more damage than you think. It hits everything in a cone. And it's just really strong. Really, really good. It could also be cooldown management as well. Like, if you don't have Storm, Earth, and Fire, for instance, on an ad pack in retail, you can suffer quite a lot because of Mark of the Crane stacks, for instance. So if you're not on, like, 5 stacks on retail and you're spinning Crane Kick, it is going to be, like, less damage, just naturally. I imagine we're meant to break these... Oh, I'm doing it! I'm so good at this game! No one else would have done that. Just me. And I don't know what it did, but I imagine you've got to break those things when you're a big swirly. Yeah, Storm, Earth, and Fire management is like a big one as well on keys. Like, when do you use it? On what trash pack? Because inevitably you're always going to have trash packs where you don't have it up for. So it's just trying to, like, playing a dungeon basically a few times, like, 4 or 5 times or whatever, you'll get used to like knowing when you're more likely going to have cooldowns up. Like Mist, for instance, I know that I'll always have like a Storm, Earth, and Fire up for the first 4 pack of ads, then probably have Zuan up for the next one with Storm, Earth, and Fire. And then you try to line up so you don't have your big cooldowns up for like the mini boss that comes up. It's all about like just playtime, honestly. But then at the same time, you don't want to skimp on Tiger Palm. So you're probably running Shadow Pan, right? And Flurry Strikes shouldn't be, like, slept on. Flurry Strikes are still, like, super insane damage in M+ at the moment on live. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. It's not quite as simple as just saying... Hold on. Where am I standing? On here. It's not quite as simple as saying Fist of Fury more. But it'll definitely help. It'll definitely help. Why are there ads over there? Why am I dead? Why am I dead? The Voidstone Awakened is overloaded with corruption and inflicting shadow damage to all players. Okay, I just got one shot. The circles need to go on these spikes. I'll probably say it. The circles need to go on the spikes. That makes sense, right? Like, that makes sense to me, right? It's not... Oh no, he stopped. He's typing. Yeah, we did clear it the first round. Yeah. Yeah. I decided to play Windwalker Monk next patch since our guild doesn't tend to have a monk. How's it feeling on the PTR? On the PTR, it's feeling really, really good, Travis. If you've ever played Windwalker Monk before, you'll enjoy it. If you never played it, man, I wish I was you, trying it for the first time. Like, not even, like, unironically. Like, I remember when I first started playing Windwalker Monk, and I just, like, I was like, no other spec kind of felt like it. It was just really, really fun. It just has this, like, difference to it. I rage on about the mastery, to be honest, but, like, it completely changes the playstyle compared to any other class or spec, really. Like, none of them kind of, like, work in that unique way. But yeah, it's on the PTR, it's really good, but I've got to, like, kind of disclaimer myself here by saying it's too early to tell on live how is Windwalker going to do, you know? So I don't want, like, to say to people, play Windwalker like it's really going to be good next patch because of how it is on the PTR. And then we get there and Blizzard have nerfed it like 5 times, and then suddenly you're playing Windwalker, but you're not enjoying it because you're not doing a lot of damage. Which shouldn't be, like, the main reason you play a spec, right? I mean, it can be, like, flavor of the month thing, right? But I think Windwalker can still do loads of damage even if, like, you're not, like, #1 ranked spec in the entire game. Our burst is just crazy. Cray. But yeah, if your guild doesn't have a monk, definitely convince them that they do need a monk. I don't want to be that guy, but between us Windwalkers, our buff that we bring to raid isn't that good, guys. Like, guild leaders might not know, and people might not know it, but it's actually kind of, like, low-key bad. Like, it's not bad, like, it's obviously a buff, but overall, it's not that good. But if it's getting you into, like, raid groups and stuff, like, keep telling your raid leader, yes, you need a monk because the buff's OP, but it's really not. Like, you got to think about what classes it actually affects and how much damage it provides. Like, compared to a Demon Hunter, right, which increases magic damage, kind of crazy. All ours does is, like, a little bit of physical, which sometimes isn't, like, that much, depending on how, like, melee heavy the tier is. Do you have hunters? Like, obviously, it all matters, it all counts, but it's not as good as it's given credit for. Just don't tell anyone. We'll keep that between us. Oh, I think that might have been why I died last time. Alright, so this is where, if we can do this, we succeed. So there's one over here that I'll stick by. You basically need to pop the spikes with these circles. This boss doesn't seem too difficult. But if you mess up one mechanic, it seems like it's game over. But I think we should have killed it. Your tank just seems to get that line and chill on one side of the boss room. Overall, this is probably... It's a really short dungeon. Like, we've made this look long. This has been a 46-minute dungeon. I apologize for that, guys. One dungeon, 46 minutes. Yikes. We did have to progress one boss for loads because we obviously none of us have done it. First boss seems really chill. We managed to do that with like 2 DPS dead the entire time. That's kind of chill. This boss seems kind of chill once you like get your head around the spike mechanic. Just don't move your circle over the spikes. The second boss, I think, is where people might struggle a lot, especially if you're melee heavy. But once you like understand how you need to manipulate the room and move the circles, have the boss jump to the corners and stuff, it's actually not too bad. Overall, good dungeon. I've enjoyed this one. I think the trash packs aren't that difficult. Obviously, it's not fortified. No, wait, it is, no? Hold on. Hold on. Am I being silly? Where's the M+ thing? What am I looking for right now? I'm looking for the thing that shows you... Oh, I can just look at my keystone, no? Why has it gone down to a 9? 10s are tyrannical and fortified, right? Am I losing my sanity? I promise I do dungeons. I don't know what I'm looking for. Here! This is what I'm looking for. Yeah, okay, yeah, it was fortified. In that case, the trash is severely undertuned. None of the trash felt difficult at all. This entire room felt too easy. Don't tell Blizzard. But yeah, that was really kind of... The trash was not scary at all. The bosses were the hard part. They felt like it was... Like, Tyrannical felt like it was implemented on this dungeon. The trash just felt like it all fell over. Maybe undertuned? But I'm not going to report that one. Keep it undertuned. I'm happy with that. The secret is safe. Thank you, Travis. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. You run Shadowpan there? Yes, I ran Shadowpan, so I can do a little bit of a damage breakdown. Let me get this up. So here, we can get it on the big screen. So if you look like overall for that dungeon... Wait, is that overall? Yeah, that's... No, it's not. It hasn't done it right. Curse you, why not? It should... Oh, that's annoying. It usually... Oh, there we go. It just reset itself now. Okay, cool. So you can see, like... Okay, didn't mean to make it big, but we kind of... That's okay. You can see how much Fist of Fury actually does overall in a dungeon. And this is, like, pretty similar to live, guys. So if, like... Like, genuinely, like, Fist of Fury is such a strong spell. And if you're not utilizing it as much as you think you should be, try to get more out of it. Try to always cast Fist of Fury, then Rising Sun Kick. The other way around in M+ is kind of like... You're kind of like limiting yourself on how many Fist of Furies you can do. Spinning Crane Kick as well. It's not too bad, but that damage is... It can be higher, it can be lower. It's just Fist is so strong. And that it just kind of makes Spinning Crane Kick look like it does nothing. But 11% is nothing to like be bad or like cry about. As well as the fact that it's you only press this when it glows. Crackling Jade Lightning is the big one as well. 8% is not too bad. We spent a lot of time on single target bosses, so this is going to be a little bit skewed. We spent a lot less time on actual like trash and stuff, so this is kind of going to be skewed a little bit more single target than I'd like it to be. But 8% isn't bad, but I can easily get more than that if you're spending a lot more time like on the trash compared to bosses. Otherwise, yeah, like Flurry Strikes isn't that strong. Like, you kind of look at the breakdown of Flurry Strikes and it's like, it's eh. Like, it's alright in, like, burst windows, but otherwise, Flurry Strikes is just kind of... It doesn't do that much damage anymore. It's okay. Like, you say no damage, 3%. Eh. Otherwise, yeah, in terms of weapons and stuff, I've mostly been trying out this Capo's Molten Knuckles, and I think this is probably going to be one of our, like, main weapons for next season. Like, alone, this does 1.4, just as a, like, a weapon effect, which is, kind of crazy. But then it also does Molten Gold, which is like another effect it has. So you add those two together and your weapon's doing 2% of your damage passively. Like, that's kind of good. That's kind of good. Oh, thanks for subscribing, Sharko. Welcome to the channel. Am I able to flash your talents real quick? Yes, I can. So if you do want to test PTR or want a little bit of an idea of what our talents could look like for next season, disclaimer, they might not. For Shadowpan for M+, this is like one of the good builds at the moment. So it's the Crackling Jade Lightning build. With Crackling Jade Lightning, you're probably not going to run it for Conduit of the Celestials. There's just... You'd lose too much if you didn't go Strike of the Windlord, for instance, and then there's Conduit of the Celestials. Like, this is like your centerpiece of Conduit, basically. You have to take this talent. But then by taking this talent, what do you lose? You start losing things like, you know, Dual Threat. But then if you're taking Strike of the Windlord for Conduit of the Celestials, you kind of want to be taking Communion of them with Wind, so you get that cooldown reduced. And you see what I mean? So it's almost impossible to go Lightning with Conduit of the Celestials. There's just too many things that you need to take. So this is kind of the build that's going at the moment. It's very centered around Blackout Kick. A little bit Rising Sun Kick focus, but that's mostly to reset the cooldown of Rising Sun Kick to get more Fists of Fury. You know, it all kind of circles back to Fists of Fury. You kind of make Blackout Kick a non-useless ability, because like not on live at the moment, but live previously, remember when we started the season, Blackout Kick always felt awful to press, does no damage. Then they kind of buffed it. You don't go Inner Peace really anymore in Rushing Jade Wind with this. The idea is to go Energy Burst instead. And Energy Burst is like your way of basically not falling into the trap of having no energy or chi by basically generating 1 chi every time you consume the blackout kick effect, which you get, you know, every time that you get the damage bonus off as well from Courageous Impulse. And then, you know, so it constantly stacks, and then you get 100% chance to gain it every time you consume Dance of the Chi-Ji, which you're forcing yourself to get more by taking Revolving Winds. It all kind of links together and works. I guess is what I'm trying to say in like a kind of roundabout way. You're not suffering from not taking Inner Peace because you're taking Energy Burst, and you're getting so much chi back off of Blackout Kick because you've got so many activators for it. It all works, and then it ties into Lightning Strike, which is Crackling Jade Lightning, which is like right there. It all just kind of comes into play together. It's all nice and cozy in that corner. So this is the one for Shadow Pan. And then we'll try out some Conduit the Celestials as well, which is going to look like the exact opposite, right? It's the completely other side of the chain. Holy cow, no Strike of the Windlord. I know, that's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but really, it's not as big a loss as you think. Like, damage-wise, Strike of the Windlord isn't that good. It's just, it feels weird to lose, like, one of your big buttons. Like, it feels like a big button, right? 30-second cooldown. But it's actually not that strong. It doesn't do that much damage. It's more of like the passive effects of Gale Force that I feel like you'd lose the most from. But the amount you gain in return from not taking it is just, it seems to come out on top at the moment. I mean, there's room for like sims and stuff to change things around a little bit. It's just that from theory crafting, this is that was the like kind of meta build, I guess, if you want to have a meta build on the PTR. I mean, like, Shadow Pan goes right, Conduit goes left. That's totally okay. The other way round. Conduit goes right, Shadow Pan goes left. But yeah, basically, yeah. One goes left, one goes right, and you're happy with it. You still go Rushing Jade Wind, though, for Conduit. Like, you've still got Energy Burst, which kind of works into the favor we were talking about of keeping, like, Chi going and energy, which is fine. But then Rushing Jade Wind also adds like a nice amount of energy regen as well from Flight of the Red Crane. So you're not energy starved with this build either. Basically, it's trying to avoid Inner Peace. Inner Peace is like a decent talent for leveling, like when you have no haste. But now we have a lot of haste. Inner Peace, I don't know. I don't really like it. I feel like it steals from other talents that are more useful. So Rushing Jade Wind isn't dead. You might think it should be dead because it doesn't no more Mark of the Crane, but it synchronizes so well with with Conduit that it just kind of works. I'm running House of Cards with Conduit, still using Treacherous Transmitter. Yeah, so I was in Raid. I was using Treacherous Transmitter with Conduit the Celestials, but which will still be better. By pressing Treacherous Transmit, I'll still do more damage with Conduit the Celestials, right? But going on the assumption that they're going to nerf all the trinkets going into next season, like, it makes sense to get used to, like, the new one. Because more likely than not, this is going to be the best Conduit one. Because, well, it's the only trinket that's 1 minute 30 cooldown at the moment that I've, like, seen. Which is kind of crazy, right? I think Transmit was the only 1 minute 30 trinket for last season. Correct me if I'm wrong. DPS ones anyway. The only big difference between the two is this one gives agility and this one gives mastery, and agility is better. It just is. So it's going to feel a little bit bad having to use House of Cards instead, but at least there's a trinket that we can actually activate. Because not having a trinket for Conduit the Celestial feels horrible. Like, you notice it. You notice that suddenly your damage is not as high. Like, you need something to boost that burst. Like, all the damage comes from that burst. Otherwise, you're just kind of, you know, doing average, measly damage. It is all about that window. Do you need to farm gear on the PTR, or can you buy us at a vendor? Everything can be bought at a vendor. In Stormwind, or if you're in the Horde, Orgrimmar? Yeah, Orgrimmar. Sounds about right. I couldn't tell you where in Orgrimmar, but in Stormwind, it's all by the auction house. You can buy all your set pieces. You can buy all your jewelry. All your trinkets, all your weapons. However, what I've done is I've been a little bit cheeky and I'm still using stuff from the current season. Not because I think it'll be good next season, it's more so that I have like better stat balances, because everything scales for all content you do. So, for instance, even though my gear, like, eye level 659, and I've got some pieces that are really low, when I go into a dungeon, everything sets at the same eye level. So I've mostly got this gear, like, for stat balancing, because putting on, like, a full, like, set of the new tier set kind of gives you, like, some really scuffed stats, and I wanted to try and make it a little bit more, like, realistic to what gear you'd be looking for. Keeping haste at, like, the highest, with mastery, like, kind of coming in behind of it, and then crit and burst pretty low overall. So that was kind of the angle I was looking at it from. But yes, anything you want to try that is available, you can buy from a vendor. I think it's free. I know that if you want to buy pots and stuff, you have to actually have gold on the character. So make sure you transfer a character over that has some cash on it, which I thought was a bit cheeky, right? You're in a PTR and they're making you spend your PTR gold. What if I, like, created a character that didn't have any gold in it? Suddenly I can't buy health pots. What? I don't know if it's a way that it's coded or something that they have to have a price attached to them, but do I think Windwalker looks good for 11.1 so far? Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. What I mean by that is on the PTR, it's really fun, a lot of positive changes, a lot of new builds, everything seems to do good damage, Cox back... No, wait, let me rephrase that. Conduit the Celestial's back on the table, Shadowpan hasn't, like, been nerfed or anything, but it's too early to tell for live, right? I'm not, like, that's what I mean by cautiously optimistic. Like, it all looks really good, but there's still, like, a month before next season. So it's good on the PTR. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, it could be completely different for live. Like, for instance, they could remove Shadowpan. They're not going to, but you know what I mean. Like, it's a little bit too early. Are we being bottom again? I don't think so. I've seen a couple of tier lists so far for Windwalker, like all classes, which is a little bit early to be doing tier lists, right? But some people have put Windwalker in A, which generally I was thinking we're probably an A, B+ at the moment. Obviously, you know, disclaimer, blah, 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 but, like, it's not live, but I think we're looking good. We're not going to be best, obviously. Like, come on. Come on, if you think we're going to be number one, you haven't looked at our cap damage numbers. Like, we can't possibly be number one in M+ ever, because we're capped at 5. I mean, I say it a lot, but because we're capped in IA, we could never be number one for Mythic+. Unless they gave us some crazy scaling or something. Is Conduit going to be better hero talent in 11.1? Yes. Comparatively to how Conduit is now, it's going to be way better. I do just want to take a quick break because I need a drink and some water, but what I'll do is I'll quickly just show you what the Conduit open is going to kind of look like. So it is a little bit confusing. So don't be like, don't be blown away if you're like, what the hell, I have to learn all of this. It's not as bad as it sounds. The concept is that Strike of the Windlord reduces all the cooldowns now of your other big abilities. So does Celestial Conduit. So what you want to be doing is striking of the Windlord in your first rotation. Then you'll look at this little icon here and it'll start counting down. When it gets to 0, that's when you Celestial Conduit. That will activate the cooldown again, reduce all your abilities, and then Strike of the Windlord's off cooldown again. You press that, and you basically repeat this cycle. So there's a lot that you need to be pressing. And I still haven't perfected this opener, but in theory, this is going to be like the opener. It's going to be a lot of abilities. It's kind of a little bit scary. And using House of Cards probably at the same time you Strike of the Windlord for the first time. Yeah, I'm still kind of learning it, but yeah, there'll be a lot of ability icons on this bottom here, but let's give it a go. So we've kicked it off. You can see that the channel the timer's kicking off, and we're on 1 now. I Fist of Fury. Then we Celestial Conduit. We get that rolling. Slicing Winds is going to come off cooldown soon as well. Slicing Winds is back up. We want to Strike the Windlord again now. You see what I mean? Like, this is still my opener in my mind. So suddenly we're on like a 30-second opener. You can see how much damage it does. We have a bit of a breakdown. So that's 3 targets. Ideally, you're going to be on like 5 targets or more. So that was just like initial burst, which is kind of crazy. But like you can see how much damage like Slicing Winds does. Suddenly you're getting like, how many casts was that? It was 2, right? But Gale Force is the big one, and that's why I'm saying that you need to hold off on casting Celestial Conduit, because Gale Force is passive damage that you get after you strike at the Windlord. So by having that running, then Celestial Conduit, all of this Gale Force damage is coming as a result of Celestial Conduit, if that makes sense, like more or less. So it's kind of like a crazy opener, and it will need some refining. Like, I'm not quite sure when you'd use your first Slicing Winds, but in theory, this is like how you want to do it. So compare that to Shadowpan, where it's like, sometimes I press Storm, Earth and Fire and Zuin, right? And Crackling Jade Lightning every so often. Whereas this is like a ton of micromanaging. But I think the payoff is going to be like much better for this one. So I hope I kind of explained it there. I hope that kind of makes some sort of like sense of what the general concept is of Conduit the Celestial now. It's not just like press the button. Sometimes you get a buff from Strike of the Windlord like it is on live. Sometimes you get a bit of haste. Suddenly you've got this like 30-second window of absolute mania. Yeah, 8% from 2 casts is crazy. Yeah, I know, and then it was almost coming off of cooldown again. You know what I mean? Do I see any Windwalker tuning coming? I mean, they just released some tuning for Windwalker sorry, no, words. That's a lie. Revert all that. Jesus Christ. They brought up patch notes yesterday, and we weren't part of it, but there was a lot of tuning for a lot of classes. I actually went through it a little bit earlier, but you can see here, like, all of this is class tuning, and most of it is buffs. We saw nothing here, which isn't a bad thing, but it's kind of like a little bit like, okay, so now all the other classes are starting to get better. Does that, like, retroactively mean that Windwalker kind of falls a bit lower? If that makes sense, like, because everybody else is suddenly getting all these buffs, maybe we won't look so good. But I don't think tuning-wise we're going to get anything bad. Like, I don't think we're crazy or anything. Like, this, for instance, is high damage, but it's really, like, difficult, like, to pull off perfectly. And, like, you got to think, you got to pull this off every 1 minute 30, right? Like, perfectly, you've got to be able to pull this off in a Mythic Plus dungeon, like, every 1 minute 30. It can be a lot. So this is going to be, like, a very high skill cap build. But it doesn't mean you can't, like, play Conduit the Celestial and not have to do that. You could just, like, you know, if it's, like, you don't have to play it perfectly. You could, like, Conduit the Celestial first. You're going to lose a little bit of damage. The only thing you just don't want to do is you don't want to be overlapping Strike of the Windlord and Conduit the buff. Like, that's the main thing I'd advise if you want to, like, get into the habit. It's like, that buff is everything for this build. So you can still see it's, like, a good amount of damage. Like, 3 million is nothing to, like, be, like, cry home about or anything. But you can get more, is what I'm saying. Like, you almost lose an entire burst window. Like, a 6-second burst window by doing it in that order. But it's still good damage. Like, Slicing Winds are still doing, like, tons. It's just you do lose a little bit. Like, Gale Force is still doing some, but you've lost about 1% or so. You know what I mean? But yeah, the idea is that I will, like, because I made a guide for Season 1. There'll be a complete, like, guide and rotation idea on this before the season comes out. Like, it won't be for a little while, because obviously I don't want to make a guide and everything changes. But there will be, like, some sort of rotation idea to how this works. That I'll have posted. I'll make a proper video out of it and everything. I still got to wrap my head around it a little bit. It's all a lot. But yeah, I'm just gonna take 5 minutes, guys, and then I will do some more dungeons, and we'll do some Celestial Conduit in the dungeons as well. Let's get this ye old set up. Yeah, literally 5 minutes. Grab a drink of water. That's what I'm doing. Bottle of water. Oh my god, I'm getting better at arriving back on time. I'll tell you that. In my first stream, I was so bad at getting back on time. I don't know, I just get distracted. Do you do that when like you're getting a drink and stuff, and then suddenly you're just scrolling on your phone, and you're like, I can't do that, I need to get back to the show. There are people waiting. I'm getting better at that now. Let's see. Oh, a lot of groups forming. This is good. +4 learning the dungeon. I don't need to do any... I want to do higher keys today, really. I know I've done all these dungeons at least once. I'm pretty familiar with them. I more just want to test out Windwalker's damage, really. Oh, what did I get invited for? Oh, it's Rookery again. Alright, I'm not going to do Rookery again. I feel bad for declining that invite, but I kind of didn't realize that it was the same dungeon. I do want a bit of variety. We don't want to run the same dungeon for 4 hours. Have I done any testing with Conduit the Celestials and slicing winds? Do you think this is going to be the build for people to use? Yes. It is definitely going to be a build that people use in some content. I like it in Raid, but not slicing winds. I can show you the Raid talents, actually, that I've been going at the moment, and that I'll be using tomorrow, more than likely. So for Shadowpan, for instance... No, this is Conduit. So Conduit, for instance, you can see that you're kind of more focused on the middle tree here for single target. Oh, cool. And you still like got a little bit of focus here on Strike of the Windlord, like you need it for the Conduit build. So this is like the kind of... This is what the Theory Crafters have come up with for the best Conduit the Celestial PTR single target build at the moment. It feels really good. I prefer running this in Raid at the moment, to be honest. Shadowpan's just kind of boring. I love the burst windows of Conduit, and like on pull, you could easily get 4 million damage on pull on bosses. I was getting it on the raid testing on Friday. And there'll be some more raid testing tomorrow evening. That'll be a very... Not very late. The stream will start at 6:30. What's the time now? The stream tomorrow will start half an hour from now. And that'll be some more single target raid testing, more or less. So you can see it's still like kind of heavily focused on Bok, but less on AoE. And you can still run this for like AoE fights. I think you wouldn't really take Slicing Wind builds for boss encounters just from testing. I think Slicing Winds is kind of really awkward in Raid because all the ads seem to be like more or less spread out. I think it's a lot harder to hit, a lot easier to hit in Mythic Plus because obviously a tank groups everything up. I think Crackling Jade Lightning feels better in Raid, and that's more of the, which one's that? That's this one. So this is the one I was using for Raid AoE. I was using Shadowpan for AoE, basically, just because Crackling Jade Lightning, even if the ads are like a bit more spread out, you can actually hit everything still, so you actually get some good AoE damage, and it all really comes from Crackling Jade Lightning. But I much prefer playing Conduit in Raid at the moment. I think just the burst windows feel so nice. And in Mythic Plus as well, Conduit... The only downside to Conduit in Mythic Plus is that you're not always pulling big packs, right? And to pop Conduit and all your cooldowns on like a 2-pack trash, right, feels awful. Like you feel like you don't want to do it, so you're holding your cooldowns for the next pack. But then the issue arises like, how long can I hold these cooldowns reasonably that I'm not just losing DPS? So that's why I think Shadowpan feels nicer in dungeons, because you're not like constantly thinking like that. I feel like you have to overthink so much with Conduit in dungeons, but it probably is going to come out better. Don't quote me on that, it might not. But yeah, I hope that like kind of makes sense. I mean, yeah, raid testing tomorrow. It'll be... What bosses are we doing tomorrow? Tomorrow we are doing these boys, the dinosaur and the gorilla, because this was mega bugged on Friday. The mythic mechanic just was not working right, so we just kept getting one shot. And then this boss is also getting re-released tomorrow. And the issue with this one was that these amplifiers, the main mechanic of the fight, were spawning inside walls and stuff. So how do you deal with a mechanic that's like glitched inside of a wall? Spoiler alert, you don't. You don't deal with it, you just die. They're also re-releasing Muggsy, which I've had no testing on at all, and I'm not going to test tomorrow because my guilds were doing retail instead at the end. So basically tomorrow's a little bit of PTR testing and then a re-clear of the Nuremberg Palace. So if you're interested in watching that, feel free. That will be what the stream's going to be tomorrow. And then on Saturday, it's going to be more more dungeon testing. So there's a bit going on this week. Yeah, I've been streaming a lot more than I initially thought I would. But I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoy engaging with everyone, like answering questions and stuff. It's just really fun, just talking. Highlights of my day. That sounds a little bit sarcastic. It's not. No, I really enjoy it. I'm really having a load of fun streaming. I was very like nervous at first, I think. So I was like, can I talk for 4 hours straight with people being interested in what I'm saying? And some people probably think no, no, you can't. But it's not so bad. No one said that to me yet. Please don't type that. It'll destroy my confidence. But yeah, I just really enjoy like chatting and playing. The only downside to constantly chatting and playing is that my brain's not always on, so I do make a few mistakes. Yeah, I've really enjoyed live streaming so far, and mostly because you guys have just been so fun to talk to, like hearts. But yeah, it looks like we're going for a, what was this? Was this Priory? This is Floodgate. Ah, okay. For any of you that haven't seen the new dungeon yet, this is pretty fun. They've made some semi-big changes to it. Like, all of them are kind of nerfs to the amount of damage that comes out of some of the bosses and some of the adds. But overall, I thought this dungeon was pretty well tuned. I was doing 10s on this when it released in week 1 of PTR. That was when I was still like trying to learn the new conduit and the new shadow pad, and so that was primarily the focus. But yeah, this dungeon is really cool. A lot of interesting bosses, but some of them were, yeah, some of the abilities they cast out, if you didn't have a defensive for, you were just dead on the floor. You had to have a defensive up. So they have nerfed a few of those. Some of the trash packs are really un-melee friendly, but they've kind of increased the cooldowns on those, made them do a bit less damage. So more melee friendly, potentially. We'll have to find out. But I like this dungeon. I think people are going to enjoy it. Each boss is quite unique as well. Like, there's one that's like a sludge fist mechanic where you are tied up to another player and you and that player can't go far away from each other, otherwise you just kill each other. Another boss is kind of similar to Siege of Borealis, the first boss there, where there are bombs on the floor and you've got to work as a group to make sure you charge the boss through these bombs, otherwise you'll blow up and you one-shot. So there's a lot of things like you got to micromanage, but it's not as scary as I'm making it sound. It's a fun dungeon. But I've run this dungeon a lot, so I should know what I'm doing. I think I've run this dungeon at least 14 times. It was the only dungeon out, right? I'm not like, I'm not crazy for just constantly doing it. But yeah, that's probably my most, what's the word I'm looking for? Experienced dungeon? Now I said all of this, I'm going to be on the floor for at least half of it. But yeah, it's more or less what's going to happen. We love guides. I love making guides, Austin. I think I've said this like a few times, but for anyone that's just tuned in, I'm planning to make I'm in the works of making the macro guide at the moment. Like, I was working on it all of yesterday evening. It's not a long guide, 5-10 minutes. Not quite definite on what it is, but it's just like a mini guide of macros that will help you get the most out of Windwalker. Anything you see in this left screen, basically, in this little macro thing, I'll go over. It looks like a lot, but a lot of them are the same macro, more or less, to basically stop you losing damage, if that makes sense. There's also like some utility ones, like Tiger's Lust, Ring of Peace. But the main one is the Fist of Fury cancel macro. I'm not really sure what I'm calling this. In my head, it's a channel cancel no longer macro, which is a real mouthful, but you know what I mean by that. It stops you from ever cancelling Fist of Fury, Spinning Crane, Kicking Crackling Jade Lightning, which are all 3 abilities that you never want to be cancelling. And if you're like me and you love spam clicking, oh my god, what have I done to this macro? If you love spam clicking your next ability and you find yourself cancelling abilities, this is one that you probably want to get. But that should be out later this week. Real simple. It's kind of like my UI guide. I try to make it as simple as possible. If I can understand it, anybody can understand it, is the way I look at it, because I am smooth-brained. Alright, we've got a full group. Let's get this party started. There's a lot of Brewmasters on the PTR. And Mistweavers. Monks are like the main class that I've seen on the PTR. I don't know why. You never see us in retail, but for some reason on the PTR, everybody's playing it. You see like no rogues. Warriors are starting to pop up because they're actually getting some buffs now, so I guess people are finally interested. Paladins were really, really hot in week 1 of the PTR, but they've kind of dropped off a little bit. I don't know too much about their changes, but Paladins that I was playing with were doing some crazy damage. Shamans as well, but Shamans are everywhere. They're on live, they're on PTR. They're just... you can't get rid of them. They're too strong. Thanks for subscribing. Is that how you say that? Is it I think it's But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Operation Floodgate. Let's make sure we got the right talents. Otherwise, we will be playing Shadowpan again, and we don't want that. Infinite loading screen. Yep, Mythic Plus. So this should be fine. So you see what I mean when I say you need to be pulling like certain pack sizes for this to be like really worth it. And like you need packs to like, kind of last about 30 seconds. Otherwise you're kind of losing resources. It's a real weird one. It's going to take a bit of like actual learning and playing with, like tweaking to work out what the best like time is to use your cooldowns for this build. Because you don't want to be holding them. I found like last week on Saturday, I kept holding all my cooldowns for a better pack, and at the end of the day, suddenly you've held them for 1 minute 30. You might as well have used them. Coming back for 11.1 and consider either Windwalker Monk or Enhancement Shaman. Hard choice. Yeah, Enhancement Shaman's just in a really good place. That is a tough contender for Windwalker. But Windwalker's really fun at the moment as well, so I wouldn't... Play both! Why not? I messed that up a little bit, but you can see like the sort of damage you're getting, and then suddenly like because that trash pack died so quickly, you don't get full advantage of that second strike of the Windlord. Now I've got to like use it now. Oh, there's saws on the floor. So these saws will pop up on all players, and that's what I mean by like melee's like kind of really rough here, because if you're all stats on top of each other, you're going to get hit by like 4 saws apiece. They've reduced the amount of damage they do, though. That was one of the changes they made. So that's kind of nice. Thank you, Blizzard. This ad also does a nasty frontal. It's a flamethrower. You stand in that and you just get one shot. I don't think they've nerfed that because you just shouldn't stand in it, right? And Surveying Beam also hurts. There's a lot of like nasty like damaging abilities and all this trash, but it's not like end of the world stuff. You just need to be on top of your CC, really, which is where Windwalker do kind of shine. The only downside to that is you find... Oh, God. I don't have to bring a piece up. Oh, no. I was trying to bring a piece that. You find that during your burst window on Conduit the Celestials, you don't want to be pressing anything but your damage, right? But suddenly that's like a 30-second window of, I don't want to be CCing. And if I CC, I lose a lot of damage. You know what I mean? So this build feels a lot more punishing on players that like have to CC. Like, you obviously have to CC, right? You don't want to wipe. But by using CC whilst you're in your big burst window, it feels really bad. It's nowhere near as bad on Shadowpan. It's a lot more forgiving to use like hard CC. Just picked up my monk back. Let's go! Let's go, Mo. Is that Windwalker, Brewmaster, Mistweaver? All of the above. What are we doing? I think there was some struggle lighting those boxes. What are we doing here? Oh my lord. Big pull. Don't stand in the bad swirlies. Kind of makes sense. What is this Hunter doing? My god, his pet's going crazy. I know Hunter got a bit of a buff. And that's what I mean when I say that although we got no tuning and no nerfs, other classes getting a buff can always, like, kind of mean that you inadvertently get, not nerfed, you kind of fall down the food chain. Because as other classes get stronger, suddenly you're kind of overall getting weaker. I am talking a little bit less, and that is literally just because I'm doing the conduit build. I feel when I play this build, and you'll find it as well, you have to do a lot more thinking. And because I'm thinking a lot more, I am such an idiot. I thought I moved out, and then I knew I didn't. But yeah, because you have to think so much more, suddenly I can't talk as much. But anytime there's downtime, I'll read chat. Brew for raid because someone's got her, and then Mistweaver, Windwalker as much as I can, and Mistweaver when they make me. When they make you. Oh no, everybody died, which means I'm going to die again. I might as well just suffer. I'm just going to take it. Yeah, Brewmaster's quite good. We have one in our raids as well. They're pretty popular. Although I thought that they weren't... Like, they got no changes initially on the PTR, which I thought was a bit surprising. Because I've been dabbling in Brewmaster. I'm no means any good at it. Like, I play it, like, just to learn. But I always find, like, you have tons and tons of defensives, but then, like, suddenly you have no defenses. I feel like you have to use them all the time. And then suddenly you have nothing, and then you're in panic mode. Oh my god. So yeah, those Venture Co surveyors, if you can't let them cast. That guy cast on me for a second, and I was dead. So, interrupts have to go on in this dungeon. Where are we going? Yeah, you'll also find these ads on scaffolding throughout the dungeon. The issue with them is they constantly root players, and you cannot target them until the scaffolding's gone. So if, like, you pull one of these by accident, suddenly they're nail gunning your healer to the floor, and he can't come heal you, you're in a really bad situation. So if you see scaffolding at all in this dungeon, you kind of want to pull trash bags underneath it, is the, like, main idea. And don't stand in this fiery circle. You'll get one shot. Not that I'd know, of course. I've never stood in that circle in my life. This ad pack is dangerous. Like, I'm not even over-exaggerating. When you cast Warp Blood, you need a defensive. Otherwise, you are probably dead. Like, you can see how much damage that did. That's through... a bit of Karma and a Fortifying Brew. Like, absolutely crazy damage. I found that on last week's PTR as well. They haven't really changed that. That's just a defensive. You have to have one. And then this is the boss. This is Big Mama. She will done mess you up. Looks scary. As long as you have ad management, this boss is fine. You just need to make sure you down the ads. If you don't down the ads, you are going to wipe. They are the main mechanic in that fight. But it looks like we're doing this trash first, which is a bit strange, but... Who am I to judge what we do first? I ain't a tank. Not my problem. I follow. Me DPS brain. Me follow tank. So you can see, like, we're out of a burst window right now, and when you're kind of outside of your burst windows on Conduit, your damage is kind of limited. Like, it's not bad by any means, but like you can tell the difference between being in your burst window and being out of your burst window. It looks like we're doing this first, which is kind of awkward because it means I'm gonna pop cooldowns here, but I'd much rather not. It's one of those situations where I could hold cooldowns, but then you're holding them for too long, and then you might as well just use it now. Yeah, you can see 2 players died, and that's literally warp blood. If you don't have a defensive, you're done. I imagine those 2 players did not have a defensive for that, and it's just too much damage. I don't know if it's overtuned in the sense that, I mean, you have defensives, right? So you just need to make sure you have them for this pack. But if you don't, you are... you're going to suffer. And even with defensives, it does so much damage. That is the main priority target, the Dark Hued Blood Warper. If they cast it twice, you're getting sent straight back to the start of the dungeon. But usually you pull this boss first. Luckily, people died. Which is a strange thing to say, right? But it means that I'm going to get my cooldowns back. And we're actually not pulling this first boss. Where are we going? Okay, it looks like we've decided not to do the first boss. I could tell the tank that we probably should do the first boss, but I think it's funnier this way. I just want to see what he's cooking up for us. These divers are kind of scary. They place bombs on the floor, and if you stand on one, you get knocked into the sky. And, yeah. I'll be honest with you. The sky is not where you want to go. So this is like a really good pull. This is like all my cooldowns, like kind of perfectly. Although, I'm pretty sure we used to experience the conduit bug. If you're unfamiliar with the conduit bug... So you can see, we got knocked up here. Yeah, not good. Ring. Monk strong. The conduit bug is a bug that a lot of players will finally get to see, because you probably never played conduit before. If you had, you might have experienced it. It's where Unity Within is the main part of conduit. That's where you get the cooldown reduction. You get all of your, like, you basically activate all of these abilities at 200%. It automatically activates at the end of Conduit the Celestial cast, but there's like a chance it doesn't. And if it doesn't, you know what I mean. You are in a, like, tough problem, because suddenly you're not getting all of your cooldown. So that is a problem that does happen. There is a way to avoid it, and that's to activate Conduit of the Celestials again, proccing it yourself at any time during the cast. I tend to do that, but the issue I find on PTR is because I'm playing at 150 ping, I try to press it at the very end, so I get the most value out of it. But on the PTR, pressing it at the very end can have the risk of it not recognizing that you've pressed it in time because of input. So if you play Conduit, always get into the habit of recasting it just before the channel finishes. Otherwise, you will likely run into that problem when you really want it. And it's a big damage loss, right? Also, our healer left. I mean, I kind of noticed it, but we seem to still be playing. I think he just rage quit. That's not what you want to read. Okay. So you can see the guy's nail gunning us right now because we haven't pulled them underneath of him. And this is what I mean when I say you really need to be pulling packs underneath the scaffolder. Because our entire group's rooted, right, in this fire. It's it gets out of control so quickly. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to restart the dungeon because we don't have a healer. But I'm hoping this group stays together. It doesn't seem that bad. I do apologize, guys. Kind of annoying that we were halfway through a dungeon and we have to restart it, but PTR is just like retail, guys. People leave all the time. The amount, like, I'd say the exact same amount of people I've left in my PTR groups that have on retail. Either they just instantly go offline, or we wipe once or twice, or struggle with something, and they'll just leave the group. You'd think on PTR people would have a little bit more lenience because it's testing and everything. No, in fact, I think they have less lenience. They don't want to deal with it at all. They're just like, nope. Maybe because there's like less consequences if you leave a PCR group, right? You're like, I'm not gonna lose my I'm not gonna get punished. It's not Mythic Plus. I'm not timed here. This is PTR. Nothing can stop. Yeah, a lot of people will leave, but we should form a group in not too long. I'm gonna try to do a look at the damage breakdown here. So you can see that I find with this build, Fist of Fury and Spinning Crane Kick are a lot closer in damage in comparison to Shadowpan with Crackling Jade Lightning, where Fist of Fury is absolutely, like, dominant. Off the top of my head, I'm not too sure why. I think you get more spinning... You just seem to get more Spinning Crane Kicks. Maybe I'm just not pressing Fist of Fury as much, but I don't really think that's the cause of it, to be honest. You can see Slicing Winds is also pretty high up, like almost at 8% of damage overall, and it's your third highest, and it's like halfway in between Spinning Crane Kick and Fist of Fury. So Slicing Winds does a lot of damage if you manage to get hit as many adds as possible. And then Gale Force as well, which is, I kind of like glaze Gale Force a lot, but it is like really important that you're getting damage off of this. And that's all to do with casting Strike of the Windlord and then doing massive damage, because that's when the buff activates. So that's why you kind of want Celestial Conduit after Strike of the Windlord, just to get as much damage out of Gale Force as possible, because it does a lot. Like, it's not to be slept on. Rushing Jade Wind as well. It's another reason why I say that Rushing Jade Wind isn't going anywhere. Like, almost 4% of your damage overall, and that doesn't even take into account the fact that you're getting energy regen off of it as well. Like, it does a lot. I feel like there's a lot more variety in what brings damage to your build in Conduit the Celestial. You can see, like, random things like Strength of the Black Ox, you know, Flight of the Red Crane. Some of these things you don't really have to think about too much. They're kind of, like, just passives in the tree. But they all kind of add up. Yeah, it's a lot more fast-paced. And there's so much more to think about. So I will have my moments where I'm kind of not talking, because I'm just trying to focus on playing this as well as possible, because it is difficult. I'm making a few mistakes. You might notice it, you might not, but I definitely notice when I've made a mistake on Conduit the Celestials. I'll have a look at chat. Is Conduit looking better than Shadowpan so far in Season 2? I don't know if it's looking better. The best way to put it is Shadowpan's more or less looking the same. Like, they haven't made many changes to it, if anything at all. The only thing different with Shadowpan is you've got a different, like, few different builds you could potentially go. But they haven't really changed anything with Shadowpan that, like, massively affects it. With Conduit, they've changed tons with, like, improving quality of life, improving damage that it does, changing the rotation quite significantly. And the talk of the town basically is that Conduit is looking like it should be competitive, if not better in some situations. But as I try to disclaimer a lot, it's good on PTR right now and feels really good in Raid and M+. However, it's too early to tell if that's how it's going to feel on live, because there's still potential changes that can come in and stuff. But how it feels right now, when I'm playing it, really fun, really exciting, high APM. Like, I glaze Conduit. I really love it. I'm a Conduit enjoyer. If I had to say, should you practice Conduit now a little bit if you've never played it before on live to get a bit of a head start, I'd say yes. I don't think Blizzard would have made this many changes to this hero talent if they didn't want it to see play. It just wouldn't make sense. Like, if they were fine with us just playing Shadowpan again, they would have barely touched anything. They've made so many quality of life tweaks and buffs to it that it kind of feels like it's the way they want us to play, at least in some content, if that makes sense. I also wanted to ask, since I'm going to level a new monk for 11.1 return, do you have a DPS race recommendation? Kind of want to go human male and rock the Goku look, if that's a good choice. So generally, when looking at races for monk, the consensus is don't worry about race, they're all pretty much equal. But I'm going to let you in on a secret. They're not. Like, they are, but they're not, right? Hold on. Like, races are always going to have a little bit of imbalance. Like, there's nothing crazy, but a good website for this is Blood Mallet. If you've never heard of it, it's just called bloodmallet.com. It's a good way of looking at trinkets. Don't take this, like, to, like, you see, like, this trinket's on top, it's our best trinket. This is just, like, raw stat numbers and stuff, right? So don't overanalyze this, but it's also a good way of looking at races. Where do we go for that? So, technically, if you're, like, really trying to min-max, Magheart Orc is our best, just because of their racials and stuff. I currently play Void Elf. Void Elf is pretty good. It was, like, down here at the start of the season, but they did a lot of changes to racials. You can see like the difference between top and bottom is, what we're talking, 30,000 damage, which like, it's not a lot, but it kind of is, right? It depends how hard you want to min-max. If you don't, like, if you're not min-maxing, you're not going for like, what do you call it? If you're not going for Fame Slayer or something like that, then don't worry about races too much. I played Volpera, right? I played Windwalker Volpera for like an entire two tiers, and Volpera was at the very bottom. And then I tried to min-max a little bit, and I went Void Elf when it was top. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that there is definitely imbalance between races, and some are better than others, but it's not as much as you'd think. If you want an actual answer, Human's about midway through. Human's fine. But I'd say you could play Nightborn if you really wanted to. But Human's fine. It's midway through. There are... Oh my god. Have we started the dungeon? I thought we just started the dungeon. No, we haven't. Yeah, so there obviously is a little bit of racial imbalance, but that's with every class and every spec. They're going to have some. And Windwalker's not the worst, like, offender. Some classes have a massive disparity between races. Why is Magar so good? I don't actually know what their racials are. I know Mechanome was really good for a lot of classes, and that's because it had scaling main stat. Void Elf is really good, and the main reason for that is every minute we... Here, let me bring up why Void Elf is particularly good. You get a buff every minute called Entropic Embrace. So every minute you get an increased 5% extra damage that comes out as Shadow Frost damage for 12 seconds. So basically you're getting 5% increased damage every 12 seconds. More or less, like it kind of works out like that. So that's kind of where I went Void Elf. I went Void Elf when Serenity was a thing, and it kind of lined up every time perfectly. But yeah, if you just, like, you don't have to overthink races unless, like, you're really going for full-on Famed Slayer, like, ranking, high ranking. Otherwise, just play what you want. Races don't matter that much, but it's a lie to say that they have no impact, right? I'm not gonna lie, but it's not too much. I think I over-analyzed that answer, but I was, yeah, kind of trying to give you, like, an actual picture of how races work.
4, 3.
Panda for life. See, I've never liked the panda. Like, that sounds like sin to say as a monk, right? But I hate the panda model. I don't want to be a panda. I've never played a panda. I'm never going to play a panda. Alright, so we've done this pull before. It looks like we are not changing anything. In fact, we're doing it even smaller than before, which is that sucks a little bit, actually. Because that means I'm doing my massive burst window here, and I'm getting a lot less value out of it because we're only fighting 3 ads. That kind of sucks. And that's what I mean by yeah, I keep saying it, but that's what I mean by conduit. Like, should I have saved it for this pack here? But do I know how big this tank is actually going to pull on the next pack? Not necessarily. So yeah, the entire group died to shreds there. So that's what I mean when I say you need to keep moving when the Shred Nation comes in. Otherwise, you're just going to get one shot. Like, just keep moving and you should be fine. Like, you can take a tick or so of it, but if you take more than 1 tick, you are probably just gone. Goodbye. So, Shred Nation's coming in. I keep moving. It spawns where I was stood. Now I'm fine. So, just keep moving and never stand in front of this dude. Flamethrower will one-shot you. But yeah, pretty simple pack, and there's a lot of Shreddinators throughout this dungeon, mostly on this side up here. There are some very scary Shreddinator packs. What's the affix in this dungeon? Oh, it's the orbs. Okay. Oh, don't stand in the fire! Oh my god, I was so lucky to get out of that. So, yeah, I'm going to save everything for the next pack. This one's close to dying. So this is like one of those instances where I'm like, do I save it? Do I not? But it feels like it has to be the answer to save it, right? But then slowly time's ticking down now, and suddenly I'm saving it. It's like, how long can I save it for? Kill the pack faster. Hopefully we do a big pull here. Otherwise, then it will just feel bad. Oh, we're not, are we? We're just pulling 2. So this is what I mean, right? So now we're only pulling a 2-pack. I'm not popping my massive cooldowns on a 2-pack. But now suddenly we're getting to a situation where have I held my Conduit the Celestials for about 1:30? So yeah, this is what I mean. I'll probably stop saying this is what I mean at some point during this stream. But this is what I mean. On the plus side, I think I butt pulled all of these, which is a naughty move, but it means I get some value. So yeah, this is the one you need a defensive for. Only when he casts Warp Blood, though. You don't have to pop a defensive now. It's just when Warp Blood comes in. Diffuse Magic, probably the best one. It also works. I'd honestly say popping a Karma on top is good as well. Look at everybody's health bar. Because I popped defensives, I was fine. But if you don't pop something, you are going straight to the gulag. And you cannot let it cast twice. Your Helo. I don't think a Helo is able to heal that much. Yeah, it's casting twice, so now we're in serious trouble. Luckily, it was on Death's Door. Where are we going? Are we going to do the boss this time? I would like that. Mag Racial was changed to buff one of the 2 higher stats instead of random ones like before. Maybe that's why they're good now. Yeah, I mean, that will definitely be why they're good now. It's like Vulpera. Vulpera's Bag of Tricks did nothing. They buffed it a bit, so it's moved up the rankings, like, slightly. But, like, that Bag of Tricks before, I didn't even press it. It did no damage. It took up a GCD. It felt so bad to use. Like, in my head, I picked Vulpera because I was like, I'm going to min-max traveling, right? I get a tent. So I can set up my tent outside of raid. So I can always turn up to raid on time, and I never have to think about flying there. I didn't take into account the racials at the time. Oh my god, Vulpera was so bad. Boss. So, this is the boss. You want to focus ads? Otherwise you're in for a bad time. So they all dash about, and they all do casts. You also need to make sure that you don't stand in front of the boss when it casts this massive sound circle. It silences, and it knocks you back. So if you get it, you just want to move backwards a little bit, and you should be alright. But then you see that all the ads are down, and this boss now becomes, like, trivial. It'll do, like, a big cast called Jumpstart, which honestly lasts ages, and you kind of need a defensive. But once Jumpstart's done, it leaves, like, a nasty pool on the ground, and you basically just move the boss around. And this is where the fight starts to ramp up a little bit. Because if the ads go inside of this circle, and you need to stop the ad, like, you need to take them out, things can get really bad. Also, cooldowns are down at this point, like, for a lot of players. So, now you really have to just hard focus the ads, like, swap to them. And they can't be CC'd, by the way. Just interrupts. So I wouldn't say this is melee unfriendly, but you can see this ad over here. I don't have an interrupt. This is guys casting. We're like in serious trouble if that cast goes on for much longer. And I double spinning crane kick there. Yikes. But overall, it's not like the hardest boss in the world. Like when I first did this boss, I thought it was going to be absolute chaos, and this was going to be like a make or break for groups. But once you've done it a few times, it's not too bad. Just now I have no defensive for Jumpstart, right? So I'm kind of panicking a little bit. This boss needs to die before I die. But yeah, not too bad. Big Mom is alright. But the first couple times you do it, you're probably going to just be stressing. We do need to kill these ads. You need to blow up all these boxes. 5 boxes, and there's only 5. Okay, we're pulling everything. Crazy. Crazy damage. I saw that mini boss on like half health, and I was like, this is going to cast Warp Blood again. Look down at my defensives. Sheer panic when I saw that they were all down. Now, I've seen multiple pathings in this dungeon, but this is like one of the weird ones. I've only done this path once other time than this. I don't know if it's going to be the Messer path to go, but like you kill these ads up here, and then you like Zeppelin down. Zeppelin? You what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever this is called. the word evades me right now. You basically fly down to the next area, and I'm pretty sure you avoid everything in the water. You might have to do like 1 or 2 packs, but you don't have the threat of pulling everything as you run across. The only downside is you have to deal with another one of these blood warpers. What are these called? My mind has just gone so blank. Gliders. Yeah, you can glide basically to anywhere you want. So, I'm not quite sure what the route for this dungeon is going to be. I've seen a few of them. Wind-up bots as well are really, really annoying. If loads of them stack on top of you, you're going to get one shot. So melee, you need to like CC these hard. Like if 4 of them start spinning and you're on top of that, you're going to suffer. But like just leg sweep or something is absolutely fine. He recreates a scaffolding as well. A little bit annoying there. But you just knock him back down. But it needs to drop. Are CGL and its talents better after the buffs? Saw they buffed it to 400% per stack. Yeah, they're really good. They're so good that now it's looking like one of the best Shadowpan builds for Mythic Plus. Like it's looking... Well, I should rephrase that. It's looking like one of the better like Shadowpan builds for AoE. I will run another dungeon after this one where I go Shadowpan again. And it's basically like your main AoE damage. Besides, obviously, Fist of Fury and Spinning Crane Kick. But it's like up there with damage. It's really fun to play. And it's kind of simple. So Shadowpan's like almost like a nice... If you're new to Monk, it's like almost the ease of access friendly hero talent to go. Which is nice. I think you should have the option of a little bit of a harder one. And a little bit of a like a... more friendly one. Because if I had to come to Monk, never played it before, and someone said play this Conduit the Celestial build, I'd be pulling my hair out, honestly. These need to be under the scaffolding. Like... I don't know what to say. I just throw it straight on the scaffolding. Screw what the tank's targeting. Yeah, look at this. I'm doing like 9 million damage. So if you like get the combo off and it like crits and does really well, you can just do so much burst. It's not always the case, and you kind of have to get it perfect, but that was almost like a perfect conduit burst window. And like all the damage comes from fists. Not even slicing winds really there. It's just like fists can absolutely pop off. This is the scary pack, right? Both are going to cast Shreddinator. So you need to constantly be moving, no real standing still here, and you need to make sure you're behind both of their flamethrowers, otherwise bad time town. You can see I was nicked by that one, and instantly I almost died. This is such a scary pack. You have the option of skipping this, actually. I played with a Warlock in a group the other week, and you can actually Warlock portal up the stairs. So if anyone dabbles in Warlock and wants some cheeky tech on how to avoid this pack, there you go. You can go straight to the boss. Oh my god, we're getting cornered by flamethrowers. Oh, I should have died there. I was stood on 3 shredders and I Whirling Dragon punched. I think that Whirling Dragon punch is such like bait. The amount of times that I've Whirling Dragon punched onto, like, just as a mechanic comes in, and I know that I'm just going to get one shot, is more than I'd like to say. Like, do you do that? Like, when you're playing, you Whirling Dragon punch, and then you see the mechanic whilst you're mid-animation, and it's just like, you know that it's just over for you. Oh, man. It's almost on par with, like, rolling off of ledges and stuff on boss fights. It's a monk's rite of passage, really. This boss is kind of cool. It's very similar to Siege of Borealis' first boss. It'll spawn like 8 bombs, this guy charges constantly, and you've got to basically aim him. That's the simplest way of putting it. Kiza doesn't really do too much. She does like some frontals, but honestly, I'm not too bothered by what she does. I think that Brunt needs to be focused though, because a lot of the time he's charging around the map, and because of that, you end up not focusing as much, and it's kind of like Stone Vault. It's kind of like Stone Vault, where because you're not focusing this boss as much, the other one, like, he's going to enrage, and if he enrages, then you're just going to die, like Stone Vault. They have to die at the same time. This red circle as well, you can blow up bombs with that as well. As a monk, we can diffuse magic to get that off of us. Or you get a healer dispel. But really, defensives aren't needed for this fight. So diffuse magic should always be up for that, if you want to pop it early. Oh, got hit by that. Oh, don't want to get hit by again. So I have the circle on me. Oh, and nothing's really popped, so I'm just going to... I was going to say, I'll diffuse magic to get this off myself. I managed to get it off myself, but it just one-shot me. Yeah, I needed maybe topping before that, but we're already 2 DPS dead. I don't think this boss was going down. Okay, so what have you learnt from that? Diffuse magic gets it off you, but you still do take some damage. It doesn't completely nullify the blast. Just one-shot myself. I think this is the easiest boss in the entire dungeon, though. Which, that wasn't a really good representation of how this boss should go. But I've run this dungeon a lot, like 14 times easily. And from all my testing, this boss is usually never a problem. It is honestly the easiest one. It's just bomb management, and he charges like 3 or 4 times, so it's really simple. I was about to say, surely we're just going to pull these, right? Do we not care? Nope. Okay. These are coming with us. We're going to use them on the boss. Sure. Whirling Dragon Punch is like the old killing spree. Yeah, Whirling Dragon Punch is like... It's fun. It's a good ability, and I'm glad they brought it back this expansion, because we didn't use it all in Dragonflight. There was only one boss you used it on, and that was Tindril. And that's because there was so many ads there that it only became usable when there was like 40 ads on top of you at once. So it's cool that it's back, because it's kind of like a staple ability of Windwalker. It was kind of sad to see it go. But it's also like a sin, like a curse at the same time, I guess. Because you're locked in place and nothing can get you out. Even if you see something come and like you can't roll out, you are locked in that animation. Blessing and a curse. Blessing and a curse. I've done too much damage to this boss. She wants me. I got no mechanics there. That's kind of cool, right? She only fires lines in front of her, by the way. Another thing you can do is just stand behind her. And pray the tank positioning is good. So I can try... Okay, I just got... Okay, I got dispelled on no bombs. Okay, I was about to show off how you can diffuse magic it. I guess that's not happening. But you can see, because Kiza's not moving, a lot of the damage gets funneled into her, and Brunt is, like, still relatively high health. So at some point, you do need to just focus him. I don't know if the play is to make sure that you focus him every time, like, fully single target focus him every time he comes back. But now, you see, Kiza's dead. I'm kind of terrified, because this guy's 80% increased damage in rage. Luckily, he's doing no mechanics at this stage, but I have had times where he's enraged because of that, and he's doing like a charge or something, and he will just one-shot your group. So you either get incredibly lucky, or you actually make sure they both die at the same time. I'm shooting something. Okay, we've knocked down the Zeppelin, sure. And then we've got the final box, so you, like, all the boxes are really easy to see, and they're kind of going to guide your route in this dungeon. More or less what we did, you could spend a bit more time in this area over here, and more in the water. But usually what you do in the water is you kind of put all of these ads together, and then play the boss in like a tight little circle over here, but I'm willing to be surprised. I don't know what this tank's going to do. Maybe pulls everything. I've had a Demon Hunter tank that ran in and pulled the entire water zone. We wiped, of course. So what did he do in the next pull? He ran in and pulled the entire water zone. We wiped, of course. What did he do on the next pull? Any guesses? He pulled the entire water zone. We wiped again, and then he rage quit. So there's a few variations to what you can do here, but there's a lot of damage that can come out here as well. So playing it safer is probably better here. Okay, I fly now. Not the most AoE damage there. I kind of got a little bit screwed by getting knocked up into the sky. This next boss is really cool if you've never seen it. Kind of fun, and you kind of have to rely on a teammate for this one, and your teammate has to rely on you. The idea is you kind of want to make sure that you're all in sync on where you're going, because you're tied up to another player. So as long as you're all in sync about what you're doing, this boss is trivial. It's when people panic here that you end up dying. So as long as we stay as a group, all go left the whole time, we should be fine. But panic sets in pretty quickly, and suddenly things go really bad. But you'll see, we get Vine together, and you basically have a partner, and you cannot move away from them. So we need to stack up. Obviously, we're a little bit spread here. Yeah, this guy's definitely not done this boss before. We did say all left. But obviously we were stood on the side there, so it made sense to go right on that one. This guy committed a little bit too hard to the left. Can't blame him. It was the order given. And you can see what happened. Me and him moved too far from each other. We slingshot into each other, get one shot by a mechanic. So overall, the mechanics of the boss are real simple. It's just dodge waves, dodge frontal. But you have the added mechanic of we're going to pull each other. You end up just pulling each other into the mechanics of the boss. So on paper, really simple patchwork fight, but the gimmick is you kill each other. This is gonna get a lot of groups angry with each other. A lot of groups are gonna be angry with each other on this one. Because the waves also knock you back and do damage, so if one player gets knocked, you bring the other player with you. It falls apart really quickly. It's a fun boss though. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. What is that? What's potent mutagen? I've never seen that ability in my life. Any hunters in the chat? What is that? Alright, so this should be a good, like, example of, like, single target Celestial Conduit. I have all cooldowns up, so we can have a little gander. So you can see, like, easy 4 million damage on full. Like this is what I mean by burst and why I think this is going to be a pretty decent build for raiding. Just because, like, the amount of damage you can do on pull and then every 1 minute 30 is just insane. Although the downside with Conduit Celestial is always that it kind of falls off the longer a fight is. Don't pull. Where's my teammate? Are we together? Why are we so spread out? I just look over and there's a healer in, like, the middle of the ocean. I think we should be alright, though. One thing to note on this boss is one player will always not be bind. So, either pray that's you or the healer. Ideally the healer, because I can imagine healing this. Like, being a caster on this fight must suck. This is one of those bosses that I think being a melee is kind of good. Just except when we run into things like that. Oh no, I need to heal, I need to heal, I need to heal. Conduit the Celestial, heal me. Nice. So it's a really simple fight, but obviously you need communication to a degree, and just coordination, I think, with your team. And you can see, like, when panic sets in and, like, waves start coming in, people have different mindsets about which way to go, and then suddenly just kill each other. Cool fight, though. And then this is Bubbles. You don't want to tank Bubbles on this bridge. We are going to tank Bubbles on this bridge, so, yeah, good representation of why we shouldn't do this. Bubbles casts horrible abilities. Frontals, AoEs, Bubbles. And when you're on this bridge, as you can see, everybody gets hit. So really what you want to do is you want to try to pull this back a little bit so you have a bit more room. When that frontal comes in and your entire range DPS is stood on one side, you're just dead. They're just dead. Yeah, this tank just ran into a bubble. I guess I'm dead too. Yeah, you want to pull it back a little bit. I think it's funnier not... Like, I can tell that, like, these players haven't played this dungeon before. I think it's funnier not saying it, because everyone needs to learn on the PTR. Also, it's a good idea, like, good way of showing, like, what not to do in a dungeon. That's not fun when you know what to do. Hunter did go offline, though, but we don't need him. Honestly, don't need him. Oh no, Full Dragon Punch! Why did the tank just die? Okay, can I tank for long enough for the tank to come back? Let's find out. How well can a Windwalker tank? Well enough. That was your answer. So these bubbles do move, but you can just weave around them. You don't have to run into them. As crazy as that sounds, you don't. And they will, like, pretty much one-shot you. I think a tank can take maybe 1 or 2 bubbles. But a DPS or a healer will just get one shot. Which you're seeing here. However, the tank has stayed up, which means the boss does not reset. Boss? Wait, hold on. This isn't even a boss. This is mini-boss. Let's get it right. This isn't a boss. We are a DPS down, but I've done the last boss enough times to be pretty confident we can kill it without a DPS. It's relatively simple. It is all just about dodging frontals and making sure that you position correctly. It'll make a bit more sense when we're there. I'd say these trash packs are scarier, the ones coming up. To be honest, not gonna lie. These trash packs are scarier than the boss. can you show the new flying serpent kick at some time? Yeah, I'm running at this dungeon. It's called Slicing Winds, so anytime that you see me like do this little dash, over here I have a massive icon for it. Anytime that's off of cooldown, I'm pretty much going to press it pretty quickly when it's off cooldown. I can give you a little demonstration now, actually. So here, you usually just want to one-tap it, but I'll show the whole like dash animation. So you can go this far. Usually you're never going to want to go that far, right? There will be some times where I have used like a lot of its mobility. Maybe when like you're trying to get out of mechanic at the last second, but you also want to hit like adds at the same time. Like there is the possibility for that, but mostly you're just going to want to one-tap it, which means, what I mean by that is everything will be grouped up. You'll already be in melee, tanking it all, damaging it all. You press it once and you hit everything. These adds are dangerous. You need to interrupt them. So I'll try to demonstrate, like, so the adds are grouped up here. I click it once, like, don't hold this at all, and then you hit everything. But you can see what I mean. These adds need to be constantly CC'd or kicked. Kick is better, because it means that they won't cast again for a little bit. If you keep CCing them, you're just going to die. Like, but these adds are terrible. A lot of groups that I've run with have just tried to skip as many of these as possible. Just because these are horrible. Like, getting hit by 2 lightning bolts at the same time, you're dead. Yeah. Like, what was that? I got hit by, like, 1. 1 hit me for 4 million damage, and you think, like, you've got 8 million damage, 8 million health. 2 of them you're one-shot on a +10. These adds are really, really scary. So usually what I've seen groups do is you'll leave those 2 at the edge, pull these 2 into the next room, and then just have to deal with 2 of them. Maybe 3. I think there's 1 on the inside, actually. But then you stack everything up in a corner. By pulling these, it can, like, everything's kind of spread out, and it can get really chaotic. But these are the scariest adds. Honestly, these are the scariest adds in the whole dungeon. If pulled wrong. Like, if pulled like that, you're just going to wipe. Unless you have some, like, amazing CC management. Yeah, so we're adapting, we're overcoming. We no longer go for that one, and then we're just going to pull these 2. There's only like 3 of them, and it's so spicy. Honestly, horrible adds. I thought these guys would get a little bit of a nerf, but I think you can probably like pull them in a way where you don't have to do what we're doing right now. But yeah, these are terrifying. Maybe being a DPS down is a little bit rough, but that's what I'm saying. These adds, like, I believe these adds are honestly harder than the boss will be. This next big ad is also kind of scary. He spawns lots of these circles on the floor constantly. If you're stood in one, you die. You might be able to survive, like, but usually you just die. And you can see we're getting lightning bolted as well at the same time. There's just a lot going on. Yeah, it's so much damage that comes out from these packs at the end here. And then you got a pair of them over there, so don't even get me started on those 2. I think the way you probably do this trash properly is you focus the lightning bolt adds and just dodge the circles. It's like, really, if you're getting hit by a circle, then that's your fault. If you're getting hit by, like, a lightning bolt that constantly casts, less of your fault. Maybe still a little bit of your fault. Don't let it cast. I don't know. But we are DPS down. I think we probably would have just, because the hunter was doing a lot of damage. Like, don't be fooled. The hunter was beating me on damage. I will concede. So he probably would have nuked these adds down as well. But yeah, focus the jumps, electricians. I don't know how long a kick actually interrupts them for, but it's not that long. Oh, I'm dead. Oh my god. I thought I moved out of that way too slow. Touch of death. I can't wait to see them do this in the MDI, where they pull every single lightning ad and then pull these two at the same time and then somehow kill them without anyone dying. And this entire room is just going to be chaos, and they're just going to somehow perfectly do it. So, you've dealt with one big guy, now you get two of them. Awesome, right? Not really. It's horrible. They constantly cast, and you need to know exactly where to stand, because it hurts you as well, like when they cast the ability. It's not just standing in the circles. No, that would be too easy. You just constantly got to pre-position. I could probably hit these. Cool. Oh my god. No Whirling Dragon Punch. Whirling Dragon Punch is not allowed here, by the way. It's a hard rule. I'm just kidding. Of course you can Whirling Dragon Punch. Just do it safely. Oh! But yeah, you see, when they start stacking up, because there's no, like, real idea, like, coordination to where they stack up. I'm pretty sure it's random. Like, potentially where you're stood. But suddenly, if you get tons of them and you're running in the wrong direction, you just get one shot. And now for the last boss. So it'll be a little bit tricky with one less DPS, but also meh. He does frontals, he does a little bit of damage, but then there is one gimmick of the fight I'll go over when we actually do it. It'll make sense when you can actually visually see it. So these lines can go anywhere, they constantly come in, so Whirling Dragon Punch actually banned, like no joke. Except just then when I did it, but that's fine. So he does that, you're all good. Some debris falls down, and then some electric circles. These are important. So any of them that look like water, you need to be aware of. So they all look like water now, right? What he's going to do is, not this mechanic, just a fuse magic this one, you'll be fine. The main thing he does is he's about to bring down loaded sparks, right? And one will have a red arrow on top of it. This is your loaded spark. You need to make sure you put this through one that looks like water. However, other players will be doing the exact same thing, right? So you can see it's probably going to go in this one. Now it's electric field. Suddenly, no one else can put their through there. So you've all got to basically pick one out of the... pick one out and then make sure that you run it through a different one. That's the main concept of this fight. So you can see water ones people could run through. But what happens is everyone will start group up by the tank. Suddenly you're all running it through. And these things, they didn't used to one-shot you, but they got 100% damage increase. So they probably are going to one-shot you now. If they hit you. Plus they also stun you for 9 seconds, so... yeah. So it's a little bit of micromanaging. It's kind of similar to... did any of you do Morchi last season? Where you had the, like, sand clones of yourselves that appeared? And then you had to guide them over on top of the sand? It's pretty much the exact same thing, right? Except it's a ball of lightning. And you couldn't steal, like, someone else's sand. It's literally the exact same mechanic, just... electricity. And that's literally the gimmick of the fight. Otherwise, it's just frontals and circles that you move out the group. It's not a hard fight. Definitely doable with 4 people, but... will we do it? Stay tuned. We should be able to do it. We've done every boss. We've done every boss, so we're fine. He also has the best name in the dungeon, Giesel Gigazap, which almost... actually, no, I take that back. The best boss is Swamp Face. Like, Blizzard came up with this entire dungeon, called all these, like, things, like, really cool things, like Big Mama, Giesel Gigazap. And then they were like, what about this this other guy? Oh, I just call him Swamp Face. Like, what? Yeah, just call him Swamp Face. Oh, well, whatever. They ran out of names, basically. They were like, Swamp Face. So Leaping Sparks come in, so you want to move away from it quick. Otherwise, you'll just instantly get CC'd. So you can see, like, that one was instantly taken. So now I need to find a new one. Everybody's trying to find one. So I'll try... mine, unfortunately, I was trying to put it on another one. It just means people need to constantly move and be aware that yours has not popped. which will be what gets people the most, I think. But last week, the arrow above it was blue as well. So, like, imagine trying to work out which one was yours last week, right? You've got blue lightning in a blue room with a blue arrow. It was really hard. They've just changed it to red, so that was, like, really clear which one was yours, but it's just a Blizzard classic, isn't it? Where they'll have one color for a boss fight, right? And then they'll just make every mechanic in that fight the same color. So the colors become a mechanic itself in the fight. You just can't tell what's going on. Luckily, they changed the arrow color, so it's very clear which one is yours. No point popping cooldowns now, as we're about to go on walkies. You can run through these, by the way. The water ones, anyway. I haven't tested the electric ones. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you can't walk through the ones that are electrified. Crazy, right? But kind of makes sense. Ow. That guy just walk off the map. He just... No, my healer just walked off the platform.
I wish you had lasted.
Oh, we were doing well there. I don't know if it's soloable by a tank. I've seen a lot of tank solo bosses on the PTR, but usually not Brewmaster monks. They don't quite have the self-healing. Well, their healing's alright, but they're not like, you know, Blood DKs or Demon Hunters, are they? I mean, damage is looking about right. When you look at the overall, Fist of Fury is on top, but it's nowhere near as like distinctive as it was in comparison to like Shadowpan, where Fist of Fury just seems to dominate. Spinning Crane Kick still second, then Slicing Winds is in the same slot as what Crackling Jade Lightning would be, your third highest damage. There's just a lot more, there's a lot more things contributing to the damage, so the percentages are a little bit like, not skewed, but they're not like, there's more to go around, if that makes sense, whereas Shadowpan's got a little less to go around. It makes sense when I say it. If it doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about it. Pretend it does. Alright. Hopefully we get him down now. I don't really want to be doing Geese or Gigazap the entire night, especially as we are DPS down. Okay, I got one shot. Well, okay. Oh, that's just on me. I tried to Slicing Winds, tried to use it as a movement ability. Well, not just a movement ability. I was trying to get the damage off of it, but I saw that he was casting his frontal. But the channel just came in a little slow. Still doable, though. We just lost about an entire phase of damage. That's alright. Oh yeah, on top of that, you know these electric circles that we put on each other? If you walk that into one of these circles, they stop being water. So, a bunch of players just got CC'd. If that makes sense. Like, you can't have any mechanics hit these things. The lasers are fine. Like, these turbochargers, I think, are fine to hit the water. But if you have the blue swirly and it hits the water, they get electrified, and then suddenly no one can dodge the leaping things. I think I made this boss sound very easy when I was explaining it before we got here. And honestly, it is. Like, this is making it seem a lot harder than it is. But it is not that tricky of a fight. This is just... if you're just watching this and you've never seen this boss before... This is a very bad representation of what this boss actually does. It's not this tricky. I wanna try the Meadery again. I have some form of PTSD from it, honestly. Like, I did like 2 of them plus 10 last week, and we died like 40 times in the first room each time. Oh, okay, tank left, fine. I'm fine with that. This was going to be a struggle with 4 people. Definitely doable, but it was going to be a bit of a chore. I want to do Cinderbrew or Priory. Priory was also extremely busted last week. Horrible, horrible dungeon. Awfully tuned. It was just it was really frustrating to run because everything just did too much damage and there was no you could learn a boss, but not really, right? When you get one shot by everything. Yo, that monk TS that looks cool. Yeah, man. So this isn't actually the monk tier set. This is the anniversary event tier set. The one I'm wearing, the monk tier set. I had some. Well, I'm wearing it right now, but I've kind of hidden it. Oh, the new one. Yeah, the new one. I don't know if it shows in your sets, so you can see I can kind of semi-recreate it. I think. I'm not a fan of this green version, but I think the orange version is just so funny because you look like Goku that I'm pretty sure every single monk that you're ever going to see running around on like live servers are going to have that mog on at some point. So it's just like, I can't believe they made it. It's just really funny. We'll try getting to a Cinderbrew. A 14 is just pushing it, to be honest. I'm not sure if this dungeon's tuned well enough. Like, I'm just so scarred from last week that a 14 makes me think that we're going to suffer. Like, I don't mind pushing higher keys, but I need confirmation that this dungeon isn't overtuned before I consider that. Rookery, we've already done Rookery today, but I don't mind queuing up for it. I just like to try something a little bit different. The yellow one looks like a Super Saiyan. Yeah, it literally Super Saiyan. I want to see it on Volpira. Like, on the smaller classes, like a Gnome or a Volpira is just going to look hilarious in, like, this Super Saiyan up phase. The green one's cool as well. I think the mask kind of works really nicely with this tier set. Like, it kind of fits in thematically. I don't know if they planned it to be like this, but, it kind of goes alright. Ignore the weapons. I don't have the right weapons on PTR. Ignore these. These don't exist. Hide them. Oh no, god, that didn't hide them. That just made them look worse. I really like our anniversary event tier set though. I probably will rock the new one, the new tier set for a bit, but this one just, I don't know. I just like the lightning effect. I just think it's really nice for monk. I feel like tier sets, we always get really dodgy ones, right? What have where are my sets? Okay, the PTR doesn't allow you to see all your sets, I guess, but what were some really poor ones? I like the Vault of the Incarnate ones, right? Now, hear me out. I know it was literally a rock costume, but I was playing a Volpira at the time, so it actually looked kind of really cool on a Volpira, and I got really fond of it. I wore that for most of Dragonflight. I don't quite remember what the other two sets from Dragonflights were, and that's probably saying enough, right, that I didn't like them enough to even remember what they were. I don't think they were very good. Monks, all they do for monk is they give us like some flying balls and a hat. And no shoes, no gloves. Oh, so it's kind of cool that they're giving us like a really funny tier set for a change with the Super Saiyan one. I can see Windwalkers, whatever, Brewmasters, wearing this, probably even Mistweavers as well, to be honest, wearing this for like years and years to come. The samurai vibe of the season 1 one. Oh, you mean season 1 of War Within? Right, that shows you how little I care about this tier set, is that I couldn't even tell you what it is. I'm not much of a mogger though, so like, don't trust me for my advice on what a good mog is or not. I wear like the same thing for like an entire season, entire expansion. I'll wear like the same thing. I also have an abysmal mount collection. What do I? Yeah, don't want to brag or anything, guys, but I've got 126 mounts. Don't at me. What's my prize achievement? This guy? No, not that. Wait, no, not that guy. Hold up. This guy, pound, right. This is a bad mount. This is a horrible mount, right? But this is when I, like, played the game, like, super, like, I enjoyed collecting things. I'd go back and do, like, you know, help, ICC and stuff, trying to get mounts and stuff back in the day when I, like, cared about cosmetics more. This guy would spawn, I want to say, like, every 9 to 12 hours, and layering wasn't really as big a thing, I don't think. I mean, I think it was, but it wasn't, like, as prominent. So, like, I remember you'd have groups of 40 players waiting for, like, 5 hours for this thing to, like, pop, and then someone would steal it. So I think I stood, like, in the same spot for, like, hours at a time. Honestly, just waiting for this mount to drop. Oh, no. I can't do that anymore. I don't... Yeah, I'm more of... I just enjoy the, PvE. I like Mythic Plus and I like raiding, but I'm not too big a fan of, like, open world stuff anymore. I don't know, I just don't really have time in for it. Also, where are the groups? Where the groups are? I'll queue for this rookery. I'm not going to queue for the 15. Oh my god, he's got... Guys, it's PTR, by the way, but he's put 3.7k group. You gotta have IO to get into this group on the PTR. You don't have IO, you're not getting in. Oh, what world do I live in? What world do I live... Did I don't get declined. This one doesn't have a tank or a healer. It's looking abysmal. It's looking like the start of the stream where we couldn't find a group. Except at that point, we were just getting declined. So we found loads of groups. They just wouldn't take me. Now it's getting to a part where there aren't many groups going. I will go Shadowpan again, though. Conduit is fun, but even I'll admit, I need to spend a bunch of time practicing it. Like, I'm not happy, to be honest, with my performance with Conduit at the moment. Like, I can just tell what I'm doing wrong and what I should be doing better. It's just because the only time I get to practice is on stream when I'm just yapping, so I'm not fully focused, which is a poor excuse. But what I'm trying to say is I need to spend a bit of time, like, off stream just practicing Conduit to really nail it down. I do think it's relatively tricky. Whereas Shadowpan, I think, is just kind of relaxed. I can kind of, like, yap and not have to worry about it too much. But Conduit, like, I feel like you mess up one button or two buttons and you get severely punished. Oh, I'll just do the same dungeon if they let me in. Please? I promise I do good damage. Yo, 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 Alex. Sith Lord, Windwalker top 1. What does that mean? Sith... Oh, Sith Lord. I get you. I get you. We've also got the, We've also got the Red Lightning. Which is something I didn't even know existed until the PTR came out. I literally didn't know that you could change the color of your lightning, because when do Windwalkers ever cast Crackling Jade Lightning? But suddenly it becomes a spell that we need to press. I'm sure I'll try to get into any group, to be honest, guys. I just want to do a dungeon. 5s, 10s. They're not going to accept me. I mean, I can try. They will not accept me. I promise you. They will not accept me. Type in his IO. Type in his RIO. What? This guy's not 3.7k? Get him out of here. Conduit, yeah, Conduit does look stressful, but I think, like, once you get it, it should be fine. I mean, like, it's the same thing as learning any rotation, right? Because it's, like, almost a brand new rotation to an extent. Like, obviously, there are bits that are similar, but it is a lot of micromanaging. Maybe it doesn't have to be so much micromanaging. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Okay, I didn't fall off. That's cool. But I'm fully convinced that you need to strike at the Windlord first. Fully convinced of it. I'd be happy to be proven wrong, but it doesn't make sense to me to not activate it first and get, like, the triple heart window. Because you're literally losing a heart window if you Conduit first, and that's, like, kind of crazy. I feel like you're sacrificing so much damage to do that. I feel like it's easier in raid. Like if you do an opener on a boss with Conduit the Celestial, like I probably will, like I'm gonna run it tomorrow on the Cauldron. Like it's really like openers on raid bosses are really chill, right? Because you get like at least 10-15 seconds where the boss doesn't do anything. Pretty standard, right, for raiding. Openers are always kind of relaxing before the boss starts channeling its first ability or whatever. So you can like get that down really well. It's just in dungeons that I think it can get a lot more complex. A lot more complex. Why no one except me? Oh, come on, let me in. Don't pretend to think about it. Just let me in. I know, like, we're monks. Hey, there we go. I'm stuck here, by the way. I can't mount up. I mean, I don't die if I jump that, but maybe if I have to aim the mount. Wait, what am I talking about? I'm sorry, it's not my bars. I don't use this spell ever. I apologize. Yep, forget we had Zen Flight. The only time I use Zen Flight is to get, like, B-roll footage for videos and stuff. But even then, not really, because the biggest issue I find with Zen Flight is the animation of it. There's just too much going on when you, like, zoom in. Because I like to try to get B-roll footage, like, zoomed in. But then you have, like, let me... where is it? It's not my bar still. The only issue is then you suddenly have these massive, like, green swirls coming up. So it is kind of awkward to use this ability. I like using it, like, as a focal point. Anyway, bit of a pointless tangent there. Oh my god. We're a very teal and green dungeon group. Let's go. How do I get off this thing? How's Windwalker and Brewmaster? Wait, what am I doing? The dungeon's right here. I'm so slow in the head. Oh my god, it's literally like around the corner. I was going to go all the way to Stormwind just to port to the dungeon that's like 20 seconds away from me. Alright, we'll do this meadery, and then I think that'll be it for me today, guys. I do need to do a bit of an early one tonight because I have to be up early tomorrow, but then I'm streaming tomorrow as well, so there's the plus side of that. For anyone that's just tuned in, tomorrow is going to be more PTR raid testing on some of the bosses that were bugged previously, so we actually get to see them for real, which is kind of nice. And then after that, in the last hour, we should be rerunning Nurabar. So if you're interested in, if you're still progging or just interested in watching me play on my live character and run through that raid, you're more than welcome to. That should be fun. I should be able to chat during that as well because it's just muscle memory at this point. Weird flex, but okay. Why would they nerf it that strong right now? No. I just mean in general. Am I in the right place? Oh yeah, I am. Yeah, and then on Saturday we'll be doing more dungeons. Usually with Saturday, it tends to be a few more groups on. Wednesday's a little bit of an awkward day for finding groups. Like Saturdays I tend to always be in dungeons. I think the issue with Wednesdays is that not many people are playing on a Wednesday. Obviously it's a work day. One big restriction. I also start at like 4 in the afternoon, so people are still working, and you know, at the same day it's also a raid reset day, so a lot of people probably not on the PTR. They're doing the raiding and stuff. So but the reason I choose Wednesday is just because it's like the first day usually when they reset the PTR cycle. So it makes sense to do Wednesday. And then Saturday is like the good day. That's when most people are playing. Weekend, obviously, even on the same times. Saturdays are usually good fun. Oh, a bit of lag. What am I playing right now? Shadowpan. So previously, this room absolutely one-shot you. I'm really hoping it won't. I mean, it is a +5, so I'd be surprised, but I'm still a little bit like paranoid about going into these dungeons just because of last week. Obviously, probably not the right mindset. I'm sure they'll be fine. But some of these dungeons were just like when they'd cast like that boiling flames, for instance, that would just one-shot people. Realistically, I don't like this first boss. I don't like his gimmick. I think it's kind of pointless. When we get to it, I'll tell you what I mean. But anyone that's done this on heroic or anything whilst leveling a character or whatnot, you know, like this boss, he like makes you go and collect or hand out alcohol to patrons, and like nothing really happens, and it just seems completely like unnecessary. Like, you take a little bit of ticking damage during it, but otherwise it's such an unnecessary intermission. The happy hour. Yeah, literally the happy hour. Like, I get it's on theme, but I don't like it. I just think it's a little bit of a pointless intermission. All the other bosses, they're fine. Dungeon over... Oh, okay, am I dead? Nope. I want a Crackling Jade Lightning here. Ow. Uh-oh. Yeah, so even on +5s, these ads absolutely slap still. You can see they're just one-shot tanks and stuff. Like, they just hurts. This dungeon really hurts. And this is after the nerfs, right? So, like, imagine we were doing this on a +10. Like, you were just getting one-shot by everything. Like, there's just some... And people have left already. You can see how, like, scuffed this dungeon is still. I think it's the way that we pull it. I think things like Chef Chewy and stuff, if you like read their like abilities and stuff, they increase the damage done by nearby allies and make them immune from CC. But if you pull this room wrong at all, you just get constantly wiped. Like, this is a 5. 5s are like not hard. Like, objectively they're not hard in like the grand scheme of all keys, right? 5s are just kind of like, you should be able to run them, this should be fine. Like, we just get wiped. The damage there was insane. You get hit by one ability, you're getting meleeed for 2 million. Erupting Inferno for 1 million. Like, absolutely crazy damage. But I think it's a bit of a mix. I think it's a mix between these pulls being really like poor. People don't realize that this guy buffs up ads. I'm sure there's other ones that buff ads as well. But this one particularly, he will buff everything around him and your group will just wipe. And it's super obvious on a plus anything. Mostly +10s though. +5s, super like clear that we were just getting one shot there. And then people res, they get one shot again, and then your group disbands. So you can see why I'm scarred from this dungeon now. That's literally how I experienced it the other day. Look, I'm going to be honest, guys. It's about 1:30 now. I was only going to stream till about 8 anyway, and these groups are looking a little bit scarce. I could do a 2 rookery, but... Why am I still in a group? Get me out of here. Realistically, I'm going to stream tomorrow and Saturday, so I'm going to do a few more streams this week. Sorry that I'm ending it a little bit early and we didn't get too much dungeon content, but it was really fun chatting to all of you today. Thank you for anyone that asked questions or just talked. Like, I really had a good time today. I had a very stressful work day, so coming back to this was really fun, and I do mean that. Tomorrow, raiding, 6:30 is when it starts, so not 4. I don't know what time that is in your time zone. Could be whatever. What time is it now? 1 hour ago is when I'll start streaming tomorrow. There is already like a set scheduled thing on my YouTube. I don't know how it pops up with live streams, but I do try to post them in advance. I don't know if they get notified to you. I don't really know how YouTube works in that regard. Other than that, I'll continue working on the macro video, and I'll have that out this week. So hopefully that will help anybody that's interested in just getting min-maxing some of the DPS for Windwalker, and like kind of helping like some not mistakes, I'd say, because I don't think spam clicking's a mistake, but it can be punishing for Windwalker if you are a spam clicker. And let's be honest, we're all spam clickers. If you say you're not, you're lying. I know that you spam Tiger Palm. Don't lie to me. Look me in the eyes and say you don't spam Tiger Palm. I know you do. And yeah, Saturday we'll do some proper dungeons. Saturdays, yeah, as I said, they're usually days where we just constantly get into dungeon groups. Usually, like last Saturday was so good. We found one dungeon group and we ran through with them for the entire day. It was really, really fun. Yeah, more people playing, less Windwalker bias. Let's hope. But yeah, once again, really thank you for anyone that tuned in today. I really appreciate it. And 6:30 tomorrow, I'll see you all there. Hearts and kisses to everybody that watched. How's Windwalker looking for next patch? I'll answer you, Rexon, before I leave. As I usually say, on the PTR, Windwalker's looking really, really fun, dude. Like really good. A lot of new builds trying out, a lot of things coming into play. Celestial Conduit's feeling a lot more fun than it was previously, a lot more viable, which is more important, right? It can be fun to play, but it can suck, right? It's fun to play. It's a little bit more challenging, but it's definitely going to be competitive. Will it be better for M+? Will it be better for Raid? It's hard to tell at the moment because there's been so limited testing and the perfect builds aren't out yet. But it is looking... Personally, I think it's looking really good in Raid, and I'd rather play it over Shadowpan. In Mythic Plus, I think Shadowpan's going to be more consistent, but Celestial Conduit looks like it could be higher damage overall, but it's a lot harder to play. I do kind of go through, I want to say maybe like half an hour ago, I went through it. If you can find, like, if you go back in the video, you might see me on some target dummies trying to explain, like, the entire, like, perfect combination. Don't stress about it too much now. I'm sure that will get adapted and stuff. But basically, it's like it's looking like a really crazy sort of like opener that you have to kind of be strict with in terms of how to get the most out of it. Whereas Shadowpan is just la 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 la. Crackling Jade Lightning once every like once every minute or so, and I just kind of like close my eyes and play. So TLDR, it's looking really fun, but at the same time, it's all speculation. Everything can change. It's too early to tell. Disclaimer, you know, don't. But yes, okay. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at 6:30 for some PTR testing, where I'll definitely play in Conduit the Celestials. So if you want to see some raid bosses, you'll definitely see it there. Otherwise, hearts and kisses. Thank you very much for tuning in on a Wednesday, my dudes. And yeah, have a good Thursday, guys. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.